specific order, a court order, but I just want to deal with the principles. Do you accept and respect the fact that these court orders were informed by the law?
Yes, I accept and respect that the court orders were informed by the law.
Misinterpret?
Ms. Zungu?
Ms. Zungu?
Mamkotes, itolo, sige sathi kuhamba satsinza timindzawo letihlukahlukene mayelana ne-order lephuma enkantolo. Just kubuta nje imibuto lemincane noma sithi kuhamba kuyo leyo mibuto besikhuluma ngayo itolo, ingabe uyavuma yini kwekuthi le mibuto lena vele beyingaphansi kwemthetho?
And then, as the CEO of JPC, and I think as well you did saying you can speak on behalf of the city, do you take any issue with the law that informs these court orders?
Njenga CEO wa JPC, ingabe uyavuma yini kwekuthi le mithetho noma le timvo leti tingaphansi kwemthetho wankantolo?
No, sir, I do not take any issue with the law that informs the court orders.
Cha, anginayo inkinga mayelana nalo mthetho ngale ma-order laphuma enkantolo.
Okay. And lastly, on that point, to an extent that maybe your evidence might have been misconstrued as being disrespectful towards court judgments or pronouncements by courts, what is your comment to that?
Kangangokuba kwekuthi kufika esigabeni sekwekuthi ingabe mhlawumbe ude ininkinga yekwekuthi mhlawumbe imiva lo ivetile ingaveta kungabi nenhlonipho tsitene mayelana naloko lokukhishwa inkantolo. Ingabe uthini umbono wakho kuloko?
It was never my intention in my statement to be disrespectful to any court judgment. That was never ever my intention and never will be my intention. I merely tried to convey as an implementing agent of the city some of the challenges, and I recall saying there are challenges, but those challenges can be overcome. It will take time, but it was not to say that we would not implement the court judgment or to show any form of disrespect. And if the statement came out as a form of disrespect, then it's very unfortunate, but that certainly was not my intention. My intention is, as one of the implementing agents of the city, to implement that court judgment to the best of our ability, and to find ways of implementing it as fast as possible.
Okay.
Okay. Bekungasiyo inhloso yami yokuthi ngivele njengemuntu lo ngayihloniphi tijubo letiphuma enkantolo. Ukuthi ngasikhathi ke kube netingcinamba lesibhekana nato letiyaye tisivimbele ekuthenini sikhone kwekuthi loko lokushitwe ukuthi akwendiwe kungendeki ngendlela lefanele. Kepha nje bekungasiyo inhloso yami kahle kahle kwekuthi sivele njengebantfu labangahloniphi.
Okay, thank you. And then I'll just refer to, go to page 197.
Of which bundle?
Oh, my apologies, Chair. The annexures bundle is one of these court orders that we made reference to yesterday. The Casamere court order. It appears on page 197 of your annexures bundle. Do you have it?
Yes, yes.
I'm just interested only in one paragraph on page 198, because it starts on page 197, but there's just this specific order in paragraph 3. Can you see that?
Yes.
It says, the property known as F1164, 168, and 170 Berea referred to as Casamea, building situated at 37 Super Street, Berea, Johannesburg, is hereby declared unsafe and not fit for human habitation in its current condition as per the structural assessment report. Can you see that?
Yes.
Right. I don't get into this specific order. So, what is your understanding of this paragraph? The court, what is the court saying? What is the basis of the court saying this building is unsafe? What are they basing it on?
My understand.
Uma singaya ku annexure sibese sivula page 197 kephana ikakhulukade ngoba kuchubekela ku page 198 kunesigaba thiteni lapha sigaba sesithathu lapho khona baveta khona kuthi number 164 na 116 na 170 Berea Street lelo building lelitfolakala lapho liye la bukwa njengelibhilidi noma sakhiwo lesingekho noma lesingakakulungele ukuthi kungahlala abantu kuzo. Kepha ke ngicela ukubuta kuwe manje make ukuthi uthini wena ngekubona kwakho noma ungathini ngamayelana nalokho lokushiwo ngulesigaba lesi.
My understanding of this particular paragraph is that the court ordered that this building is unsafe based on the structural conditions of the building. In other words, the structure itself is not sound, and that poses a very high risk to the occupants of the building.
Correct. Now, in 2018, when you received, you'll call in your evidence, December 2018, the Department of Social Service and Development conducted an audit of the occupants at Usindiso. Do you remember that evidence?
Yes, I remember that.
Okay. Kuphendvula umbuto wekucala. Sijubo senkantolo lesaveta kwekuthi lelibhilidi leli alikalungeli kwekuthi lingahlala abantu. Kunjalo ngezafuse kwekuthi vele lokwakhiwa kwaso besikhombisa kwekuthi akusiko kahle, asisiko sihle lesakhiwo. Kepha ke masiqhubekela phambili uma sibuka bufakazi lo kwekuthi nga-2018 ilitiko leka social development lake leta lato cwaninga kuhlala kwebamfu kuleli bhilidi leli. Uyakukhumbula kepha lokho?
And she said yes.
Uphendvulile wathi yebo uyakukhumbula.
All right. Now, in 2018, after that, did JPC or the city have any structural report that pronounced on the integrity of the Usindiso building?
No. No, JPC did not conduct a structural assessment of the building in 2018 or even after 2018. We did not have a report on the structural integrity of the building.
Umbuto lolandzelako uthi kusukela ngo-2018 ingabe JPC kwendekani kwekuthi kube nelicwaningo lolwendako kubuka noma kuhlolisisa kwekuthi lesakhiwo vele sikahle noma sikulungele. Imphendvulo yami-ke ithi cha, kusukela ku-2018 kuya phambili akuzange nje kwendeke siye siyolihlolisisa ukuthi ngabe sakhiwo lela bhilidi lisesimeni lesihle na.
So, in the absence of that structural report, would JPC have been able to obtain, not JP, the city, would it have been able to obtain an order that would have declared the building to be unsafe?
Chair, we can only declare building unsafe from a structural integrity point of view, or get an order declaring the building unsafe if we have a structural engineer's report saying that this building is structurally unsound. So it's only then that we can get an order to demolish or fix up the building. From a structural point of view, I just want to point out, from a structural integrity point of view.
Okay. Umbuto lomunye uthi njengoba nje nithi bekude i-report noma yes njengoba benesikude ireport lechazako mayelana nesakhiwo saleli bhilidi leli nafika ke kanjani ekuthenini nithi leli bhilidi alisiko leliphephile noma lelungele ukuthi kungahlala abantu impemvulo yama ke ithi kahle kahle singadinga ukuthi kube khona bonjinela labaqeqeshelwe tona demabhilidi labangakhona ukuthi bahambe bayolicwaninga bese bayasho ukuthi kudinga ukuthi leli bhilidi silibhilide noma sililungise.
Moving on to the issue of the zoning. Can you just re-explain the concept of zoning? Because during cross-examination, there was a discussion.
There was no cross-examination, Mr. Sidumedi. There was questions put by the evidence leader to Ms. Waters.
My apologies for the usage
Yes.
of inappropriate terminology. During the question, when you were asked questions by the evidence leader, there was a debate about the zoning. Right? Can you just re-explain to the chair, because I think this point came out even in your evidence in chief. When we speak of zoning, do you zone an area or do you zone structures in an area?
So, if I can just focus on the inner city. There are areas in the inner city, and historically the inner city was zoned. Areas in the city were zoned industrial, offices, and general. This particular, so that particular area had an industrial zone into it, historically. The building itself, the actual building itself, was zoned Industrial 1. Now, in terms of the town planning scheme, Industrial 1 can be used, residential use is permitted for Industrial 1, so buildings could be converted for residential use. So you have an area zoning and you have a building zoning.
Umbuto lo landzelako uthi njengoba kwakubutiwe sicela uphindze uchazisise njengoba kwakubutiwe ukuthi kulesikhani kubutwa ngebufakazi lobabuthuliwe ukuthi ingabe kuyendeka yini ukuthi kube khona kuzonishwa noma kuhlukaniswa lokuba khona enzaweni noma esakhiweni cacise ukuthi kwendeka esakhiweni noma enzaweni thiti. Impemvulo ithi kubuketa nje kakhulu la ekhathi edolobheni. La ekhathi edolobheni kukhona kepha ikakhulukati etinzaweni lapho khona kute mabhizinisi noma kute kusebenza ikakhulukati ema-office. Kepha ke ngekwemlandvo noma ngekwandvulo kuyendeka ngasikhathi ukuthi sakhiwo nje sisinye naso sihlukaniswe futhi kuvumelekile ukuthi noma ngabe bekusakhiwo lebesetshenziswa la ukuthi sekusebenza bese siyashintshwa kube sakhiwo senzawo yekuhlala.
And you did mention in your evidence that due to budgetary issues or cost issues, the area was never rezoned. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do recall it.
Ukile waveda ngaphambilini kwekuthi njengoba beninginga yethe imali kahle kahle lendzaweni abengazange yaze yahlukaniswa. Ingabe usakukhumbula lokho? Impemvulo isiyebo ngisakukhumbula.
Now, if you had the funds to rezone that area, would there have been a need to change that building in light of what you have just explained?
Just need to familiarize myself with your question. Will there be a need to change that building?
In light of the fact that we have now rezoned the area.
So the building is zoned Industrial 1, which allowed for residential. in terms of the town planning scheme, as I've mentioned. No, I would not need to change the building because it's already permitted, and residential is already permitted in terms of the town planning scheme in that building. So there would be no need to change the building because there's nothing structurally in the building that has to change.
Umbuto olandzelako uthi njengoba ukile waveta ukuthi niba nedinga tetimali ekuthenini nikhone kushintsha noma kulungisa emabhilidi etsite. Kube kuthiwa le mali beyikhona ngabe vele lesakhiwo sashintshwa yini. Impemvulo ithi njengoba le bhilidi belihlukaniswe njengelibhilidi noma le bhilidi lokuthi libe libhilidi lokusebenzela kilo. Kepha ke njengoba kuvumelekile ukuthi lishintshwe lentiwe sakhiwo sekuthi kuhlale khona bamfu. Besingeke sibe khona sidingo sekuthi sisebenzise imali ekuthini silishintshe ngoba bekuhambelana kanye kanye netinhlelo tekuhlelwa lidolobha noma tekuplana lidolobha.
Lastly, yesterday you correctly considered that the city of Johannesburg and JPC in particular is bound by the bylaws that were passed by the city insofar as the safety and other compliance conditions that buildings must comply with. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do recall that.
Okay. Itolo ukile waveta kwekuthi itolo ukile waveta kwekuthi lidolobha laseJozi kanye kanye na JCPD iphocelelekile ekuthenini itiphathe ngekuvumelana kwemithetho letsite uma sibuka tekuphepha kanye kanye naletini ingabe usakukhumbula lokho. Impemvulo ithi yebo ngiyakukhumbula.
You further testified that the reason, notwithstanding the fact that these bylaws are binding on JPC, the explanation that you provided was that you could not implement these bylaws as a result of the fact that the building was, quote unquote, hijacked. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
Njengoba uvetile futhi kwekuthi anizange naze nakhona kwekuthi nihambelane nemithetho ikakhulukati ngoba leli building leli bese lithathwe ngenkhani. Uyakukhumbula lokho? Impemvulo ithi yebo.
And the effect of the hijacking was that the city and or JPC could not gain access to the building. You remember that?
Yes, I do recall that.
Naloko ukuthi njengoba leli bhilidi bese lithathwe ngenkhani nje idolobha bese lingasakhoni ukuthi lingene lilibuke leli bhilidi.
In the event that the building was not hijacked and you had free access to the building, would you have been in a position to comply with the bylaws of the city?
If there was sufficient budget allocated to me to fix up that building in terms of the bylaws, then yes, I would have fixed up the building in terms of those bylaws and made it, brought it up to standard. In the event of no budgets, like I explained, what we then embarked on is to engage with private sector to take over the building and enter into those longer-term development leases, which then would have put the building up to modern standards and fixed up, but we would have been working with private sector. I think I explained that quite in detail, and this building would have been part of one of the releases that we've done under our property release program.
Lomunye umbuto lolandzelako uthi kube kuthiwa leli bhilidi leli belingakathathwa ngenkhani ngabe nakhona yini kwekuthi nilungise njengoba umthetho usho. Impemvulo ithi yebo ngabe sakhona futhi kube kuthiwa besinemali leyanele ngabe sakhona ukuthi silungise njengoba umthetho wedolobha usho. Futhi ke lokunye lesingabe sikwendile kwekuthi sihlanganyele nebantfu labatimele noma tinhlangano letitimele sibese sesiniketa bona ukuthi kube ngibo labali rentako pheceleti batawubese ke bona bayakhona ukuthi balinakekele ngendlela lefanele njengoba nje besine program yethu noma lihlelo lethu lokuthi takhiwo letitsite sitinikete bantfu labatimele bakhona ukuthi bali rent phecelezi isikhathi lesidze so ngaleyo ndlela lelo libhilidi belitakhona ukuthi linakeke.
Chair, thank you very much. These are the questions that I had for re-examination. I've got no
Thank
further
you.
questions.
Chair, this is serious. I would request a directive from the chair that MNS must produce a legal document that says a zoning of industrial 1 permits residential accommodation.
Mr. Sidumedi?
We are willing to assist the commission for the city to obtain that document. I heard him
Okay.
saying MNS as if MN. Yes, through our client we will, Chair, obtain confirmation of the types of usages allowed in a industrial or whatever the evidence that has been made by Mr.
And if need be, call Ms. Botes to give evidence in regard to that document.
Correct. Or people who are in charge of, because normally in the city, the town planning issues will reside in a different department. So most probably it will be appropriate, not Ms. Botes, but whoever is in charge of the town planning schemes, that will be a person that will intelligently speak to the commission about those issues.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair.
Madam Commissioner, lendzaba leli noma lendzaba leli lindzaba elibaluleke kakhulu. Sitawucela ukuthi ukhiphe isijubo noma usite ekuthenini NMS akhone ukuthi asiphe timphepha letikhombisako vele noma etivumelanako ukuthi emabhilidi noma takhiwo letibekelwe ukuthi kube takhiwo tekusebenta tiphindze tisetshenziswe ukuthi kube takhiwo tekuhlala bantfu. Impemvulo ithi yebo sitawuzama lokusemandleni ethu onke wekuthi sikhulume nalababukela idolobha naye JCP wekuthi asiphe leto timphepha leto letifanelekile.
Will it be convenient for you if I made a directive that such document be provided within 7 days?
Surely that I can put my head on a block there, Chair, and say indeed it should be possible for that to be correct in 7 days.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Kungendeka ukuthi ningakhona ukuthi nisiphe timphepha leti emalanga lang7 angakendluli. Impemvulo ithi yebo sitawuzama ngako konke okusamandleni ukuthi kwendeke kanjalo.
Yes, it is so directed.
Njengoba sekushiwo.
Chair,
That's the end of your re-examination.
It is indeed the end of my examination, Chair.
Yes. Ms. Botes, thank you for coming to give evidence before this commission. You are excused as a witness.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioner Mabena. My name is Zianda Nyanda. I'm a member of the MS team, currently assisting the city. Madam Chair, we'd like permission to call up a witness from Pick It Up. We'll be leading that witness with respect to the evidence on behalf of Pick It Up.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Ms. Nyanda, the name of the witness?
Ernest Mbanu.
Mr. Ernest Mbalu, those would be your full names.
Yes, sir.
You have an objection in taking the oath?
Ingabe unako ukuvimba ukuthi uthathe isifungo?
No, no, sir.
Do you swear the evidence you're about to give us will be the truth, nothing else but the truth? And if you do, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you. For the purposes of orientation, Chair, that's file number 2 of the bundle of statements. The statement of the witnesses contained on paginated page 90.
Page.
Bufakazi lobutawutfulwa obutfolakala ekhasini 90.
Good morning, Mr. Mbanu,
Good morning, madam.
and how are you? How are you?
I'm well, and you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good, good.
Mr. Mbanu, I'll be asking you to take us through your statement. I'll be asking you just brief questions. I ask that we just give the interpreter a chance to interpret after the question. Just briefly, can you advise us who you are, what your role is at Pick It Up?
Okay. My name is Ernest Mbanu. I'm currently employed as an operations manager in the inner city under Region F. I've been in this position since 2020 till to date.
Oh. Ngicela ukuthi usichazele ukuthi ungubani futhi nekuthi yini inzima lo idlalako la ukhona khona nyalo. Ligama lami ngu-Ernest Mbandu, ngingu-operations manager pheceleti umphathi lobuke kwetinchubo ngaphansi kwe-Region F. Ngicale kusebenza nga-2020.
Mr. Mbanu, when did you effectively start working at Pick It Up? And what was your role prior to you being an operations manager?
Okay. In 2011, I was appointed as a supervisor. My role was to make sure that waste is collected to the landfill site for disposal and to oversee that all the streets of Johannesburg are clean on daily basis.
Mr. Ernest, besicela ukuthi ngaphambi kokuba ube ngu-manager, usicela ukuthi bewusebenza kanjani. Umphemvulo ithi ngaqala 2011 lapho bengingu-supervisor noma lobukile batisebenzi. Umsebenzi wami bekuqinisekisa ukuthi lidolobha laseJozi lihlobile futhi netibi tiyabutfwa tiyolahlwa endzaweni yakhona lefanelekile.
Thank you, Mr. Mbanu. Your current role as operations manager, the role that you currently hold, what is it that you do as operations manager?
Okay. Currently, I managed and make sure that the streets of Johannesburg are cleaned on daily basis. Waste is collected for disposal, and illegal dumpings are cleared on daily basis as well, and oversee that the streets are cleaned to a level of 2 in terms of our cleanliness, level of cleanliness.
Umuntu welandelako uthi njengoba nyalo ungumphathi weletekusebenza yini umsebenzi wakho lo wendaba ngalokucondzile. Imphemvulo yababe ithi njengoba ngingimanager nje ngiyaye ngihlolisise ukuthi vele malanga onke lidolobha laseJozi lihlobile noma lihlantiwe futhi netibi tibuthiwe talahlala kufanele khona nekuthi titalati tihlobe ngendlela lekufanele tihlobe ngakhona njengelizinga lethu.
Thank you. If you will just turn to page 91 of your statement now. Can you just advise us who Pick It Up is and the nature of services that are provided by Pick It Up?
Basically, Pick It Up is a waste management company which is mandated to render services of waste management to the citizens of Johannesburg under Region F1. the services that we render specifically to the citizens of Johannesburg is street sweeping, collection of waste, clearing of illegal dumpings, and cleaning of the alleyways. The alleyways, I'm talking of the passages in between the buildings, high-rise buildings in the inner city.
Okay, you mentioned the collection of waste, and I want to deal particularly with the collection of waste and what it is that you're required to do with respect to the collection of waste in terms of the bylaws.
Okay. In terms of waste management bylaws, we've got a schedule that is known to our clients in the inner city, whereby we collect every day, following that schedule that we have rendered to them. And that schedule is collected 3 times a day, 6 times a week.
Okay. Umbuto lolandzelako uthi sicela usichazisele nje ukuthi pick it up kahle kahle ungubani. Imphendvulo ithi pick it up uyikampani le yaye inakisise kungcola noma kwetibi kukolekwa kwetibi usebenta ngaphansi kwa region F1. So kahle kahle thine sing pick it up siyaye nje sishanyele futhi sikoleke tibi silahle la kufanele tilahlwe khona. Umbuto olandzelako uthi kahle kahle ngidawugcizelela babe e point esigabeni sekuthi njengoba nithi nikoleka tibi nitikoleka kanjani futhi yini lebhekekile kini. Imphendvulo ithi kukoleka kwethu kwetibi sikwenda silandzela umthetho wethu wekubutha tibi lothi njalo ngelanga kufuna sibuthe tibi. So kahle kahle siyaye sihlele kuthi malanga onke sibuthe tibi kathathu ngelanga bese kuthi ka6 noma ka6 ngelviki.
Mr. Mbani, you speak about a specific schedule. What else is it that you are required to do prior to allowing occupants of buildings or residents of buildings to collect this waste in terms of the schedule?
Okay. In terms of waste management bylaws, we normally provide receptacles to our clients thereafter we collect. And as I've said, the clients then they're made aware of the collection schedule which we do on a daily basis, so that it will be easy for Pick It Up to understand where those receptacles are placed. Receptacles are placed on the campsites of the streets every day in the morning.
Oh. Babe futhi uma sesibuka ke manje ngaphansi kwekuthi ninelihlelo thiteni lenilandzelako njalo yini lokunye lenyaye nikwende kusita labantfu leniba sitako kusita labantfu lenibasitako ukuthi basite nini mayelana nekubutha letibi. Imphendvulo yababe ithi siyaye sibanikete nabo lelihlelo lethu lekubutha tibi ukuthi sidibutha nini kanjani futhi sibanike netinsita letinye siyaye sitibeke cishe lapha ngasititelatini kwekuthi kube yilo ukuthi bafake khona letibi tabo nathi sitithathe khona.
Thank you. Mr. Mbanu, what, for our benefit and for the benefit of the Commission, what are receptacles?
Okay. Receptacles are the tools that we give to our clients. It comes in a form of wheelie bins. It's a 240-liter wheelie bin. And sometimes we give them the skip bins, which are they use to contain their waste, both compactable and non-compactables.
Oh, babe sicela usichazele kahle ukuthi letinsita lokhuluma ngato tinsita leti kanjani. Imphendvulo yababe ithi mathuluzi lasisebenta ngawo kubutha tibi lafaka ekhathi emawili bin kanye namaskip bin pheceleti lamaskip bin ke ngiwo lakhona ukuthi bakhone futhi nokuthi bahlukanise noma bahlele indlela thiteni letibi tabo mayelana nokuthi tisimo lesikanjani.
Mr. Mbani, so you just looking back at the evidence you've given, you've stated that, and you can confirm that your duties are to provide the receptacles, which can be in the form of wheelie bins, you said, and skips, and to collect in terms of the schedules.
Yes.
What then are the duties of occupants which enable you to effectively carry out your duties in terms of bylaws?
Okay. The duties of our clients is to make sure that before we provide them with the receptacles, they provide us as well with the storage facility so that the receptacles be placed in there for their waste. Secondly, it is their responsibility to take out those receptacles and put them on the streets whereby pick it up will be easy to have access and collect them as per the schedule that we have given them.
Babe, njengoba bosachaza ukuthi uyaye kungumsebenzi wenu ukuthi nibanikete tinsita ukuthi bafake le TB khona bese ke niyatilanza. Yini lo munye umfalo noma lo linyane nikubhekile ukuthi labantu leni babuthela TB bayakwende kuze niende kahle umsebenzi wenu. Bemvule yababe ithi kwecala nje ngaphandle ukuba sibanikete le migcoma ye TB. Sicela basikhombise indzawo lekulungele ukuthi singayibeka khona. Bese ke manase batifakele TB siyaphinde futhi sibacele ukuthi batikhiphele ngaphandle estaladini lokwenda ukuthi kube lula ukuthi njenga pick it up sitithathe setila estaladini le TB.
Mr. Mbani, you have mentioned a schedule that you follow for waste collection.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you to turn to page 153. That's Annexure EM2, Chair. Thank you. Mr. Mbani, can you firstly just confirm for which region this schedule applies?
Okay. Thank you. This schedule that we have here was drafted for Marshalltown precinct under region F1. And this schedule was implemented in 2018.
Ngicela siye ku page 153 ku annexure EN2. Lana babe sicela usichazisele ukuthi leluhla lolu ingabe libhekiselwe kusiphi isifundza noma iregion. Impemvulo yababe ithi leluhla lolu libhekuselwe ku Marshalltown ngaphansi kwesifundza F noma region F land futhi lakhiwa ngeminyaka wa 2015.
And then secondly, can you just explain to us the schedule, how it works, the frequency of the collection?
Yes, as you can see that this schedule also, it talks about the collection of wheelie bins. It talks about the collection of skips. It talks about, again, the collection of bags that are swept by our street sweepers and place them on the streets. Hence, on this schedule, we've got two types of vehicles that they roam around and collect the wheelie bins, they collect the skips, they collect the bags that are bagged by our street sweepers. It applies on all three shifts that we have in the inner city. As much as all we know that city of Johannesburg is a city that doesn't sleep. We've got traders that work till 2 a.m. in the morning. So that is why we decided let's have 3 shifts. So among those 3 shifts, all of them, they follow the same route, whereby you find out the morning shift that starts at 7 o'clock in the morning and finishes off at 3. They've got 2 trucks that run on these schedules that we have given to the Marshalltown precinct. So it will be called a collection of wheelie bins and a collection of skips and a collection of bags.
Okay. Cela ukuthi ke manje babe usale usichazisela ukuthi loluhla lwenu lokubutha TB lisebenza kanjani. Impemvulo yababe ithi njengoba nje sikoleka imigcoma lekuthiwa ngemawili nemaskips kanye netikhwanyana letisuke TB letichanelwe lapha etitaladini. Siyake sibe netinhlobo letimbili tetincola letiyaye tibuthe leti TB leti. Letincola leti futhi tisebenta kiwo ema shift lesiwachazile ukuthi mathathu lasebenta la eKhatsi edolobheni. Futhi njengoba sicaphela ukuthi idolobha laseJozi idolobha leli busy kakhulu noma kunyenti kwekuthengiselana lokwendiwa kukhona, siyaqinisekisa ukuthi labanye abantu baye basebente kuze kube sekuseni cishe ngabo 2. Siqinisekisa ukuthi ke kuba khona i-morning shift lecala nga-7 ekuseni ize iyophela nga-3. Nayo ke letincola tetimbili letibutha tibi tisuke tihamba khona lapha eMarshall Town tibutha leti tibi.
Thank you. How many days a week does this schedule apply to the specific region?
Okay. This schedule applies for 6 days a week, from Monday to Saturday.
Umbuto uthi kukangaki ke ngeliviki lapho khona lo hlelo lokubutha tibi lenteka ngalo. Imphendvulo yababe ithi lelu hlelo leli lwendiwa emalanga lang 6 evikini kusukela ngomsombuluko kuze kuye ngeMgcibelo.
So is this sort of schedule, 3 times a day, 6 times a week, applicable to other regions? Why is it that it's so frequent within this region?
Okay. As I've said before, that city of Johannesburg is a city that doesn't sleep. The influx of people and the congestion in town, it forced us to make sure that we implement a 3-shift system whereby the trucks will be able to collect all the waste that comes out of the premises in around Marshall Town and other areas that have got their own schedule as well.
Umbuto wasisi uthi lesi lohlelo leli lebutha tibi lendiwa yini kwekuthi kube ngulele ndeka sikhasi lesinyenti kangaka angangokuba kukathathu ngelanga futhi kasithupha ngeliviki. Imphendvulo yababe ithi njengoba bekachazile ukuthi idolobha laseJozi idolobha leli phitsitelako lekunyenti lokwenteka ngakhona. So kwakheka kwetibi kunyenti njengoba nje kugcwala abantu basuka etindzaweni letihlukahlukene. Kwabese ke kuyasiphocelela ekuthenini letibi tibutfwe ngale ndlela le kufaka eKhatsi nakhona khona eMarshall Town.
Mr. Mbana, I'd like to go to paragraph 28 of your statement at page 94. In your statement, you refer to observations that were made by officials within Pick It Up with respect to waste that was collecting within the vicinity of the Usindiso building. Can you please just take us through those observations?
Okay. Around 2018, I can't be specific with the month and the date, we received a complaint from our street sweepers that they are observing that at the corner of Delvas and Albert Street at Usindiso building, the occupants there, they are coming out with the receptacles in the form of 2 40-liter bins, and they are emptying them on the floor, of which to them it was taking a lot of plastic bags that we give them on a daily basis at a given street to clean. We find out that all those bags end up getting finished to clear out that dumping. Then we decided as a depot that let's rather place a skip container that the occupants of Usindiso building and other places around the precinct can use it as a tool to contain their waste. Then we decided to say, on that schedule that we have given to Marshall Town Precinct, we might as well collect that skip based on that schedule. As much as behind Usindiso building, we've got an informal settlement, which is called Emakosen. We've placed a skip there. And if you go further down towards EMS building, we've placed a skip. So this skip won't be taking away our truck on that route. So we decided let's supply them and place a skip for them to contain their waste. That is with other buildings around the Usindiso building.
Okay. Uma umbuto wasisi uthi ekubukeni ekwenu letibi lebetivame ukuthi nitikoleke lapha cishe kuleli bhilidi lase Usindiso beti kanjani futhi besi kanjani simo sakhona. Imphendvulo ithi kusukela nga 2012
2018.
2018 bamvulile bayaye basishanelele basibuthele TV bacala kubona kwekuthi kuleli kona lase Delva Street na Albert Street khona lapha eUsindiso building ba mtinyendi itibule tikhona bayaye baphume bamvucishe nemigcoma lema 40 liter bayichithe lapha lebe bese kubangela ekuthenini lama plastic latinsita dekubutha letibi la edolobheni njengoba bashanela tiyaphela ayaphela njengoba aphelele khona lapha eUsindiso kuphela bangachubekele encane so kwabonakala ukuthi tinyendi tibi tiphuma lapha base ke bathatha isinqumo sekuthi asale babeka skip bin kuleyo ndzawo leyo khona abathokhona kwekuthi bafake khona letibi manje le skip bin ke abasibeka ngakhona lapha kuphela basibeka futhi cishe nangase machoseni lebe kungikhona khona lapha ngase Usindiso building basibeka futhi nakuletinye takhiwo letitungelete le Usindiso building lokhu bakubeka kangangokuba bakuconzanisa nelihlelo lekubutha kwetibi utabo kwekuthi incola yabo lehamba kujikeleta itibutha la eMarshall Town ingabe se iyaphuma kule schedule phecelezi noma lihlelo le bayaye babuthe ngalo letibi.
Mr. Bano, can you just explain the collection of the waste from the skip? Does it follow the same schedule?
Yes, it falls on the same schedule. Remember, as I said on that schedule, we've got two different types of vehicles. One with high bin lifters, one with a rear end loader that assists us to collect those skips.
Kucacisa nje babe ingabe lokubutfaka leti tibileti kulandzela lo hlelo lase Marshall Town yini noma lebenivele nalo impemvulo yababe ithi yebo njengoba ngivetile ukuthi sinetinhlobo etimbili tetincola yecala incola iyaye nje ibuthe tibi litiswele embinini noma kumawili bin bese le linye ihlobo lencola ngilele lisita ekuthenini liphakamise le skip bin ke manje.
Mr. Mbanya, can you please turn to page 154? Chair, that's annexure 154 of the page.
Come again with the page number.
154.
154.
Got it.
Mr. Mbanu, there's an image on page 154. Can you just take us through that image?
Yes. That image that we have there, it shows us the skip container that we placed.
Miss Nyanda,
Mr.
I don't have that image on page 154 of the annexure.
You don't have it. My apologies, Chair.
I'm advised it's volume 2, ma'am.
It's volume 2.
I don't have the volume in front of me. Yes, you may proceed.
My apologies for that, Chair. Please proceed, Mr. Mbanu.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, that image is the reflection of the skip that we placed at the corner of Delvas and Albert, next to Usindiso building. We placed the skip in 2018.
Yebo lesifombe lesilangaphambi kwethu lesisibonako sitfombe lesikhombisa skip bin lesisibeke ekoneni la Delva Street kanye na Albert Street eUsindiso sisibeke ngeminyaka 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Mbanu. Mr. Mbanu, there's been several testimonies that have been given or evidence given before this commission, which states that there was a lot of waste which was collecting inside the Usindiso building, which could have exacerbated the fire. And there was also waste which was piling up on the upper floors and littered also on the lower floors of the Usindiso building. What would your response be to that testimony given as Pick It Up?
Okay. In terms of Pick It Up waste management bylaws, it is our occupants or our clients' responsibility to make sure and ensure that waste is taken out to the street using the receptacles that we have given them for us to collect. We are mandated to only collect the waste that is on street curbs.
Babe ingabe uma sibukisisa ngendzaba yetibi kune bufakazi lobukile batfulwa lebukhombisa ukuthi bekunetibi letinyenti letitfolakala lapha kuleli bhilidi lase Usindiso lekusolakala ukuthi ngabe kube nemthelela mayelana nokuthi lo mlilo ube ngilendlela lewaba ngiyo. Ingabe ningachaza nithini njenga Pick It Up? Impemvulo yababe ithi kungumsebenzi webahlali kwekuthi tibi batikhiphele ngaphandle basebenzisa tinsita lesiyaye sibaphe tona. Thina wethu umsebenzi wekuthi nje sitithathe setila ngaphandle kwale sakhiwo.
Thank you, Mr. Mbani. Chair, I have no further questions for this witness.
Thank you, Ms. Nyanda.
Thank you, Chairperson. Mr. Mbanu, well, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Service delivery, as I understand it, is that there is an ecosystem between various public structures that must cooperate in a manner that delivers a sound outcome for the community, right?
Correct, sir.
Babe, si uma sibuka kulethwa kwekusitakala noma kwelisito siyaye sibone ukuthi kunekuthelelana thide lokukhona lokuba khona emkhathisini wetakhiwo letihlukahlukene kangangokuba kwekuthi kwendeka ngendlela leyaye izuzise. Ingabe kunjalo babe? Impemvulo ithi yebo.
So that the various public entities don't work in silos. Am I right?
Correct, sir.
Kangangokuba letakhiwo leti atisebenzi nje titimele ngabe kunjalo? Impemvulo ithi yebo.
The police do what they do, waste management does what it must, and a whole range of other public services cohere to the general delivery services for the community, right?
Yes, sir.
Kubekisa nje singasho ukuthi mhlawumbe emaphoyisa kanye nalabo lababuke kubuthwa kwetibi kanye nalabanye labakhona bonke bayasebenzisana ekuthenini balethe kusitakala thite endzaweni labakiyo. Ngabe kunjalo? Impemvulo ithi yebo.
Now, as we understand and you correctly conceded, waste inside the building produced accelerants to the fire that occurred there. Did you hear that and you considered it?
We're not aware of that. That the
No,
waste.
the evidence, sorry. I'm talking about the evidence.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Kukhuluma nje ngalobe kushiwo etifulweni tetifungo kwekuthi tibi taye tabangela kwekuthi lo mlilo lobokhona lela bhilidi lela ube mkhulu. Ingabe ukuvile yini lokho njengoba bekushiwo? Impemvulo yababe ithi yebo ngikuvile.
So may I suggest to you that tomorrow there is waste collection inside a building of a nature that can produce Usindiso? It would not be adequate to say my mandate is only the street.
Okay. In terms of waste management bylaws, Pick It Up is only mandated to clean the waste that has been taken out to the streets. Due to safety of our workers, we definitely not allowed to enter any private property or any household and collect waste inside. That is why we said it is the duty of the occupant of that premise or that household to make sure, ensure that the waste is taken outside for Pick It Up to collect.
Kubhekisela nje wekuthi ingabe babe njengoba singathi nje kusasa kungenhle kube khona tibi letingabe kuselwa ukuthi diphume mhlawumbe esindiso kulesakhiwo sase Usindiso ingabe ningathini nine ngaloko. Impemvulo yababe ithi njengoba sibuke tekuphepha 37 atikavumeleki ukuthi tingene ngekhathi etakhiweni noma emakhaya ebamvu kucoca dodi noma tibi kunaloko baye bayithathe nje setila ngephandle esitaladini.
Please don't consider this as a criticism on the part of Pick It Up. I don't intend it that way.
Yes, sir.
Sicela ukuthi ungakuthathi kwangazuthi mhlambe uyasolwa njenga Pick It Up. Ngicela ungakuthathi ngaleyo ndlela leyo.
All I'm suggesting tomorrow, if Pick It Up is aware that there is this type of hazard, it would adjust its own processes to mitigate that problem.
Lengicela konje kwekunye kwekuthi kusasa noma esikhathini lesitako njengoba Pick It Up sekade kwekuthi kunemvule kanje lengahle yendeke angakhona ni kwekuthi mhlawumbe azame kutfola tindlela dekwekuthi umane utfola indlela yokuthi kungasebenteka kanjani kwekuthi kungendeki imvule kanje.
Yes.
Uthi yebo.
There are no further questions to the witness, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Advocate Siminya. Mr. Mkomezulu.
Yes, Chair. Thank you, Chairperson and Commissioner Mapena. Morning, Mr. Mbano.
Morning, sir.
Chair, it will be two questions following from what Mr. Semenya has already asked.
Yes.
The starting point, Mr. Mbano, would be that you would be aware that one of the objects of local government, of which in this instant will be the city of Johannesburg, are to promote a healthy and safe and healthy environment.
Correct.
And then, perhaps, yes, you would be aware that that's one of the objects of local government.
We are aware of that, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Babembalu ngitaba nje nemibuto lemibili le netela kuleshiwo ngibabe Semenya. Wecala kwekuthi njengoba uhulumende lobukile lana edolobheni laseJozi wekuthi tekuphepha ngileti hamba phambili ingabe ungakubona lokho impemvulo ithi yebo.
Yes, taking it to perhaps your level, the bylaws that you've referred to in your evidence, the waste management bylaws, the object in section 3 include that the object of these bylaws are to ensure that waste is avoided where it cannot altogether be avoided, minimized, reused, recycled. Yes. It continues. But the one I want to get at is to promote sustainable development and environmental justice through reasonable measures for the management of waste, regulate the collection, transportation, and storage. So the list goes on. And also I've seen somewhere where it says, okay, it's subsection 2 of section 3 of the bylaws. In pursuing the main objects of these bylaws, the council may, in appropriate circumstances, require any generator or holder of waste to take reasonable measures to ensure that the objects are given effect to. As I conclude, Chair, would be, this is a build-up to what Advocate Semenya is saying, that it cannot, it's a proposition I'm putting to you, I'm not putting it to you as a fact, a proposition that it cannot be that City Power, being an entity of local government, shrugs its shoulders and says, ours ends on the streets. There are other responsibilities, such as requiring the generators of the waste to act in an appropriate manner. Has that been done, or the approach was, we've put a skip bin on the street, it is your duty now to take it there?
Correct, sir. What we can say as pick it up is what happened at Usindiso building was an eye-opener to us, of which if there is a need that can be done to change policies, yes, we can do that, and then be able to say, let's assist where we can. Thank you.
No further, thank you, sir. No further question, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mgomezulu.
Umbuto lo vela kuba beMgomezulu uthi uchubekisela kuloyo loshiwo nguBaba Semenya uthi uma sibuka lapha ku section 3 kuyalandzisa kwekuthi tibi kumele kwekuthi tingabi khona futhi tincishiswe noma mhlambe tibuye tisetshenziswe kabusha, maybe reuse ku pheceleti, kepha ke futhi nithuthukisa kwekuthi kube khona kuhlala lokukahle nokuthi kuhlobe lokufaka ekhathi kuti koleka kuti coca tibi njalo njalo nekutibeka kahle. Kepha ke manje mase sigcuma phambili siya ku subsection 2 wakhona lo section 3 siyatfola ukuthi ikhansela uthi kulabamvu labatakhako letibi bona kumele kube ngibo labathatha umthwalo ukuthi leto tibi leto ticoceke tiphumele ngaphandle, futhi nine njenga City Power nine nje nime emagameni ekuthi nitithatha setingaphandle esitaladini kuphela. Ingabe kukhona yini leningakwenda ekuthenini kungabi kanjalo lokungasita ekudekile okwekile kwendeka ngaphambilini? Impemvulo yababe ithi yebo, lokulokwendekile eUsindiso building sekubavule emehlo, batawuzama kwekuthi imithetho yabo pheceleti emapolice abo labaye basebende ngawo babe nekwashintsha kuze kwekuthi lokhu kugwemeke noma kungaphindzi kwenteke.
Madam Chair, we will not be re-examining the witness.
Yes.
I'd like to admit the witness's statement, COJ 6,
Yes.
and there are 3 annexures, which is 6.1, 6.2.
What is 6.1?
It's the service delivery agreement concluded between Pick It Up and the city. 6.2 is the schedule that the witness took us through. And 6.3 will be the picture.
They are so admitted.
Thank you, Chair. Call for permission to excuse the witness.
Ms. Mbanu, Mr. Mbanu, thank you very much for coming to give evidence before this commission. You may step down as a witness.
Thank you, Madam.
May this be an appropriate stage to take the tea adjournment, Chair.
We'll take a tea adjournment and reconvene at 11:30.
Chair, we're going to be having two witnesses for the day. It may very well be that we won't occupy the entire day. We would at some point, Chair, make the announcement that Monday is a non-DS. We won't be sitting as a commission at the request of Norton Rose.
Yes.
So thank you, Chair.
Mr. Mnyandu.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioner Mabena. Chair, with your leave, I would like to call the next witness from Johannesburg Water. Her name is Spindile Sikhosana, Ms. Spindile Sikhosana. Chair, we kindly request that Ms. Sikhosana be sworn in.
Ma'am, give us your full name.
My name is Sipindile Brightness Imelda Sikhosana.
Any objection in taking the oath?
No objection.
Do you swear the evidence you are about to give us will be the truth, nothing else but the truth? And if you do, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Your witness is sworn in.
Thank you, Advocate Siminya. Mr. Mnyandu.
Thank you, Chair. Would like to confirm that the witness's statement is to be found in file 2 at page 155 occurring. Ms. Sikhosana, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I'd like to confirm that you also have file 2 and that you have opened to page 155.
Yes.
Mr. Khosa.
Ufakazi olandelayo unkosazana Sipindile Sikhosana usanda kwenza isifungo lapho efunge khona ukuthi uzokhuluma iqiniso lodwa. Ngemva kwalokho ke umeli ubesemcela ukuthi avule ekhasini 155 le file number 2 wayeseqiniseka ukuthi usihlalo kanye naye ufakazi sebevulile kulelo khasi azobe exoxa ngobufakazi abethulile.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Sikhosana, kindly advise the chairperson and the commission where you are employed and what position you hold.
I am employed at Johannesburg Water, and I am a senior manager in the metering and revenue unit since 2016.
Thank you, Ms. Sikhosana.
Umbuzo oqala obheke ku Nkosazana Sikhosana ukuthi usebenza kuphi futhi wenza umsebenzi muni. Ngakho uyaphendula ke ukuthi usebenza Johannesburg Water lapho esebenza khona njengesikhulu esibheka ukubalwa kwamamitha amanzi kanye nemali engenayo phecelezi irevenue.
Now that we have established you are at Joburg Water, kindly explain in brief terms what the mandate of Johannesburg Water is and who owns the entity.
Joburg Water is wholly owned by the city of Johannesburg, and its mandate is to provide water and sanitation services to the residents of the city of Johannesburg.
Ukuqala ke umbuzo obuzwayo manje ukuthi akakachaze ukuthi iyini ngempela umgomo noma amandla abanikezwe wona njengoba esebenza ku Johannesburg Water. Kanti okwesibili ubani ngempela ongumnikazi we Johannesburg Water kulomsebenzi abawenzayo. Ngakho uchazile ke okokuqala ufakazi ukuthi umsebenzi wabo inhloko njenge kulomsebenzi wabo ku Johannesburg Water ukuhlinzeka abantu ngamanzi lapho edingeka khona amanzi nasetshenziswa futhi ekukhucululeni indle. Ubese chaza ukuthi leli business le company yabo umnikazi wayo umkhandlu waseGoli noma iCity of Johannesburg.
Thank you, Mr. Kosana. Ms. Kosana, evidence has been laid before the Commission in respect of other entities wholly owned by the municipality, being the City of Johannesburg. In respect of those entities, there is a service delivery agreement that is concluded. Can we confirm whether this is the same for Joburg Water?
That is correct, Chair.
And for the purpose of orientation, can you confirm, turning to page 162, whether this is the current SDA?
Yes, I can confirm.
Thank you, Ms. Kosana. For the benefit of the Commission, kindly now explain the relationship that exists and how it is managed. The relationship between a customer who applies for an account, the City of Johannesburg, as well as Johannesburg Water, which carries out the mandate, as you have stated.
Johannesburg Water is guided by the City of Johannesburg Water Services bylaws, which sets out, among other things that are on the bylaws, who applies for the water services, the levels at which the City of Johannesburg Council can approve for its consumers, and the requirement for payment of the council services in relation to water and sanitation services.
Ordinarily, how is the communication of metering, or I should say the delivery of accounts, sent to each customer?
The account is created at the City of Johannesburg in the SEP ISU billing system. And so the communication of the account statement is handled by the City of Johannesburg, and which is done under the Revenue Shared Services Center of the City of Johannesburg. Johannesburg Water, in this regard, then provides the meter reading to be inputted into the billing system, as well as deal with any account queries relating to water or sewer services, and as well as take any credit control action that is required on customers that are in areas.
Mmeli ke uqhubekile nokubuza ukuthi idolobha laseGoli noma umasipala waseGoli kunezinye futhi izinhlaka enze izivumelwano sokuhlinzeka kuzo ngezinsiza. Uyavuma ufakazi ukuthi yebo akusibo bodwa, kodwa zikhona nezinye izinhlaka futhi ezenze izivumelwano nedolobha laseGoli ukuthi zihlinzeke umphakathi ngezinsiza. Ubese musa lapha ekhasini 162 wambonisa iSDA lapho wayesebuza ukuthi ingabe yiyo yini lena yamuva esebenza njengamanje, nalapho ufakazile wathi ngempela yiyo okuyiyona esebenza njengamanje. Khona kube sebuza umbuzo ummeli ukuthi ibuphi ubudlelwano obukhona phakathi kwamakhasimende yibo njenge Johannesburg Water, bese kuba umasipala umkhandlu wedolobha laseGoli basebenza kanjani. Ushilo ke ukuthi umkhandlu waseGoli noma umasipala uqondiswa imithetho esebenza komasipala ebekiwe. Leyo mthetho isuke igunyazwe umkhandlu ukuthi isebenze uma kuziwa ekukhokhelweni. Ubese chaza ngalolu hlelo afisa ukuliqonda lwamamitha lapho kukhishwa phela amaphepha ukuthi umuntu ukweleda imali engaka, ihamba kanjani lolo hlelo. Ushilo ufakazi ukuthi kunama CIU asetshenziswayo umkhandlu wedolobha. Kulama CIU kuba nezindlela zokuthi umuntu ukhokha kanjani uma mhlawumbe kunabantu abanemibuzo ngokuthi ihlelo lokukhanjiswa kwamanzi nokukhucululwa kwendle bakwazi ukulifaka ngokufanayo nalokho kulawulo okubizwa ngokuthi ama credit control kulabo abanezikweletu. Zonke lezi zinto ziqondiswa umasipala ngokwakhe esebenzisa lezi zinhlelo azibekile.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Kosana, please explain to the chairperson how you are able to figure out or realize losses that are incurred as a result of illegal use of water.
The process of water, it is purchased in bulk from Rand Water, and it is distributed to the residents of the city by Johannesburg Water. And so revenue is generated from the supply of water and sanitation services to from the residents. The losses incurred through the illegal use of water, it is measured through the calculation of non-revenue water. And then from any losses then that are experienced, then they are investigated through various processes then by Joburg Water. And one of the methods is our own investigations internally based on the data that we have from the systems that we use to monitor the usage of water or the consumption that comes into our billing system, as well as the tip-offs from other consumers or the residents.
Ubeke esebuza futhi ufakazi ukuthi nikubona kanjani ukuthi kukhona lapho nilahlekelwe khona ngenxa mhlawumbe yokungasetshenziswa ngwendlela engesemthethweni yamanzi. Yiphi indlela enisebenzisayo yokubona? Ufakazi uyaphendula ukuthi bona njengeJohannesburg Water amanzi bawathola kuiRand Water. Ngakho iRand Water uma ibalethela amanzi bona babe sebeyohlinzeka umphakathi lawo manzi. Kodwa kulombuzo ukuthi babona kanjani uma kuukuthi kukhona lapho bela bengazange bayenze khona inzuzo uthi babala ngokuthi amanzi esiwakhiphila ngaka kodwa imali esiyitholile incane ayilingani namanzi esiwakhiphile. Ngakho babe sebeba nezinhlelo ngaphakathi eminyangweni wabo lapho benzenzela bona uphenyo ukuthi yini ebangele ukuthi imali engenile ibe ncane kunamanzi aphumile. Okwesibili bathi kuba khona ama tip off lapho ke bencwetshwa indlebe ukuthi bakhona abantu abeba amanzi bese bekwazi ke ukusebenza ngalokho abasuke sebekutholile ukuze balungise lowo monakalo wokulahlekelwa inzuzo.
Thank you, Mr. Koza. Ms. Kosana, as we continue to sketch the manner in which the relationship is managed between the customer, Johannesburg Water, and the city, explain to the chair, as you set out in your statement, what is a pre-termination notice and when is a pre-termination notice triggered?
When the account is billed, there is a due date on the account of when the payment is required for the water or sewer services that is consumed. And then at that time, the customer is given an opportunity, should they be unable to pay that amount that is on their statement in full, they are given a chance by the city to come to the city and make a payment arrangement. And if they don't make a payment arrangement, then a pre-termination notice is issued to the account holder. That would be an indication that there is no dispute on the account or no payment arrangement has been made if the payment has not been received. And so if there is no positive result to that pre-termination notice, then Johannesburg Water is then instructed to do the disconnection on the customer's meter.
Qhubeka futhi ufakazi kulokho ubudlelwane obukhona phakathi kwamakhasimende iJohannesburg Water kanye nomasipala ngokwakhe umkhandlu waseGoli. Lapha ke ufuna ukwazi ukuthi konje uma sebethumela lesi saziso esithunyelwa kusengaphambili esithinta ukungakhokhelwa kwamanzi kusuke kwenze njani. Uyachaza ufakazi omelele zamanzi ukuthi okokuqala uma bekhipha istatimende sabo samanzi besithumela kumuntu, lesi statimende siba nosuku olumnqamla juqu ukuthi kufanele ukhokhwe nini lesi sikweletu. Sisuke futhi sibhalile nokuthi malini okufanele ikhokhwe. Ngakho uma ikhasimende lisithola lesi statimende ilona ke eselizosho ukuthi liyakwazi ukukhokha leso sikweletu. Uma kungenzeka alikwazi, istatement siyasho ukuthi kufanele lizokwenza ingxoxiswano noJohannesburg Water ukuthi angikwazi ukukhokha lesikweletu njengoba sisonke kodwa ngingakhokha imali engaka, kubizwa ngokuthi ama payment arrangement. Khona ke uma lokho kungazange kwenzeke ilapho ke bese bethumela le notice akhulume ngayo abayithumela ikhasimende babayozwa ukuthi into eyenza ungakhokhi ngoba mhlawumbe ungavumelani nokubhaliwe njalo njalo. Uma kutholakala ukuthi cha akakuphikisani nokubhaliwe, khona ke babe sebethola igunya emkhandlwini kuyidolobha ukuthi lo muntu ngoba akafuna ukukhokha amanzi ngamabomu usengahamba ke manje anqanyulelwe amanzi noma avalwe.
Thank you, Mr. Khosa. Ms. Skosana, you ended your last segment of evidence by saying where a pre-termination notice is not responded to, no payment arrangement has been entered into, and the account itself is not disputed. You said there is then a disconnection. Joburg Water is instructed to disconnect. Who instructs, particularly which unit instructs Joburg Water to do so? And please explain to the chair the levels of disconnection.
The disconnection is instructed by the Credit Management Department of the Revenue Shared Services Center of the City of Johannesburg, who is accountable for credit control. And therefore, once they have looked at the age analysis and identified those customers who have either not made payment arrangements or who have no disputes on the accounts or who have not made any payment, then a disconnection is instructed, as I have indicated. The disconnection then in Joburg Water is done at 2 levels. The first level is what we refer to as level 1 disconnection, where the water at the customer's property is restricted using a restriction device that we have internally to restrict the water. And so at that point in time, it still gives a customer to go back to the city to make further arrangements if they are unable to pay the account in full. And if the customer doesn't come back to the city to make an arrangement, and or whether we find that the customer has illegally reconnected themselves, we go further to a level 3 disconnection. In this disconnection, then Joburg Water removes the infrastructure of water from the customer's property.
Ufakazi ke ummeli uyaqhubeka nalo lolu daba njengoba ephenya ngemibuzo ukuthi uma ke lesaziso sesithunyelwe njengoba eshilo ufakazi ukuthi uma isaziso sithunyelwe kodwa manje kunezinto ezimbandela ezibhekwayo kuqala ngaphambi kokuba kufike eqophelweni lokuthi amanzi avalwe. Okokuqala okubhekwayo ukuthi lo muntu usiphendulile yini lesi saziso. Ngakho lo muntu akazange asiphendule isaziso, akazange aphikisane nokuthi amamitha mhlawumbe amanzi afakwe lapha akavumelani nawo, akazange enze futhi indlela yokuthi uzokhokha kanjani. Ngakho uma kunjalo yilapho bethatha khona isinyathelo. Ummeli ke ubesebuza ukuthi ubani lona onikeza umyalelo wokuthi nina ke manje hambani niyonqamula amanzi kulowo muntu. Uchazile ufakazi ukuthi kunomnyango obizwa ngokuthi Credit Management Revenue. Lo mnyango ubhekelele izikweletu nezimali ezingenayo. Yiwo ke lo mnyango obe usubayalela ukuthi abahlonze ukuthi okokuqala ubani lo muntu ongafuni ukukhokha futhi ongazange enza amalungiselelo ukuthi uzokhokha noma ongazange aphendule. Bese beya kulowo muntu ke manje. Kodwa uma bewanqamula lamanzi banezindlela ezimbili abazisebenzisayo. Bano level 1 no level 3. Indlela yokuqala uma beza kuyi level 1 abawavali amanzi ngokuphelele, kodwa banomshini abawusebenzisayo wokukhawula ukuthi lo muntu amanzi angawasebenzisa kangaka. Ngakho lo mshini awuvali ngokuphelela amanzi, kodwa manje usumbekela imingcele yokuthi amanzi awasebenzise kangaka. Lelo thuba lisuke lisamnika ithuba lokuthi akabuye azokhuluma nomasipala ukuthi uzokhokha kanjani. Kodwa uma kubonakala ukuthi cha lo muntu uxhumila amapayipi amanzi uyawathola kodwa ngokungemthetho, yilapho ke bavele basebenzise ulevel 3 wabo. Oku level 3 ukuvele baye lapha ya bafike baqhaqha yonke nje inqala sizinda ebeyimlethela amanzi lelo khasibende.
Thank you, Mr. Khosa. Ms. Kosana, now that we have fully sketched the workings of the relationship between the 3 parties, I'd like for us to turn to matters related to Usindiso building. Firstly, for the benefit of the Chair and Commission, can you confirm whether there is an account registered for Usindiso building, which is at 80 Albert Street? And if there is, as is set out in your statement, kindly confirm under whose name was the account open?
The account for Usindiso building is in the name of Usindiso Ministries under the account number 440191412.
Thank you.
Ummeli uqhubekile ke manje nokubuza ukuthi akeke ke manje kukubuye ngokuqondile kuleli bhilidi laso Usindiso. Umbuzo lapha ukuthi ingabe leli bhilidi laso Usindiso lalinayo yini iaccount yamanzi neJohannesburg Water leli bhilidi beliku 80 Albert Street. Ufakazi uNkosazana Sikhosana uyasho ukuthi yebo ngempela beyikhona iaccount neJohannesburg Water, igama ebeyibhaliswe ngalo bekuyi Usindiso Ministry, kuyi account number 440191412.
Thank you, Mr. Koza. Ms. Kosana, kindly advise the Chair how much is the account owing as at date of your testimony today?
The account is in areas of 4.3 million as at the date, to date. This is the amount that accumulated since February 2012. A total of 437,000 was paid to the city for water and sanitation services from 15 June 2010 to 8 February 2012.
Umbuzo wesibili abese ubuza ummeli uMnumzana uMnyandu ukuthi ingabe ke ikhona yini imali ekweledwayo ilesi sakhiwo saso Usindiso. uNkosazana uSikhosana uyavuma ukuthi yebo ikhona imali engu 4.3 million ebikweledo kusukela ngoFebruary ka2012. Yize kunjalo ikhona kodwa imali yakhokhwa engaba ngu 437,000 eyakhokhwa kusukela ngoJune 15, 2010.
Thank you, Mr. Kosa. Ms. Kosana, can I please refer you to page 224, where you refer to Annexure SS2, and I request that you kindly just talk us through what the annexure is, to whom it's addressed, and what it indicates.
This annexure is a screenshot of our SEP ISU billing system, which is indicating the billing of this account, which is also indicating the amount that is currently due on this amount. And it also indicates the credits that may have gone through into the account. These credits may be related to reversals, maybe of meter readings, if there was estimates in between that were overcharged. And when actual readings then are received, then these are credited into the account.
Ummeli ucela ukuba aye ekhasini 224 bese mchazela nje ngalokhu okulapha ya kuleli khasi 224 ukuthi kuyini. Lapha kukhasini 224 ufakazi umechaza ukuthi lesi nje i-screenshot esithathiwe sendlela yabo ababala ngayo noma i-billing system lapho mabesho ukuthi umuntu ukweleda kanjani. So kuso kuvela ke izinombolo zezimali njalo njalo nokufundwa kwamamitha ukuthi amamitha angaka kwaba imali engaka. Uma kwenzekile mhlawumbe kwaba khona amamitha afunde ngokweqile leyo mali yabuyiselwa njalo njalo. Ngakho lesi screenshot siveza nje indlela obokwenziwa ngayo uma kuzohlawuliswa nokuthi kume kanjani ngokwezezimali ezithinta amanzi.
Thank you, Mr. Kosa. Ms. Kosana, you've explained to the Chair that the last time there was activity in respect of receipts of money from the account holder was between 2010 and 2012. When was the last payment made?
Excuse me. The last payment was made on the 8th of February 2012, and that was an amount of 25,000 rand.
uqhubekile futhi wabuza ummeli ukuthi akakachaze ukuthi ngokwale zitatimende abazisebenzisayo noma ngokwe-screenshot sabo njengoba ethulele le commission kwabagcina nini ukubonakala umnyakazo owenzekayo uma kuziwa ekwezintweni ezithinta amanzi. Ngakho uthi ukusebenza nje kokugcina kwamanzi besebenzelana nosindiso kwenzeka phakathi kuka 2010 no 2012. Ngakho imali yokugcina eyakhokhwa uma kukhokha usindiso la ikhokha ngomhla ka8 February 2012 kwakuyimali engu 25,000 eyakhokhwa. Kwakugcina ke ukuthi kube khona ukusebenzelana phakathi kwabo nosindiso ezintweni ezithinta amanzi.
Thank you, Mr. Koza. Ms. Kosana, may I kindly refer you to page 225 in the bundle? Just like how you have done with Annexure SS2, in respect of Annexure SS3 to your statement, kindly take the chair through and advise what we are to understand from this document.
Similarly, this one is a screenshot of the SEP billing system for the account of Usindiso Ministries. It is indicating the payments that had been made into the city's account, indicating from the 15th of June 2010 up to the 8th of February 2012.
Ube futhi semcela njengoba sibona escreenini ukuthi nakhu aye lapha ekhasini 225 aphinda achaze ukuthi yini lena evela lapha. Ngakho nalapha kuseyiyo futhi SEP okuhlelo lwabo lokubala ukuthi umuntu ukhokha kanjani niyolwayo iaccount yosindiso futhi uma uyibheka isaveza ukuthi ukhokhwa kwenzeka phakathi ka 15 June ukuya ku 8 February 2012.
Thank you, Mr. Koza. Thank you. Ms. Kosana, arising from the fact that there were no payments then received beyond 8 February 2012, what steps were taken in respect of the account?
The account was disconnected, firstly using the level 1 disconnection method, as I had explained, and since then when we started doing these disconnections, no formal reconnection by the city or by Joburg Water was done on this account or at this building. And from between 2013 and 2024, being the time we are in now, we have received intermittent illegal reconnections that have happened at this property, which has been pointed out. And so we attended to the Usindiso disconnection between that time, using both the illegal, the level 1 disconnection and the level 3 disconnection because of the illegal reconnection of water.
Ubesebuza ufakazi ukuthi njengoba manje kucaca ngokwale zizitatimende eziveli zeSEP eveza ukukhokhelwa ukuthi kwagcina ukukhokhelwa ngomhla ka8 February 2012. Iziphi izinyathelo abazithathile zokulungisa lo monakalo? Uyaveza ufakazi unkosazana Sikhosana ukuthi baye basebenzisa lezi zindlela azishile ekuqaleni ukuthi banama level amabili uma umuntu engakhokhi futhi engezi ukuzokhuluma nabo ukuthi wenza amalungiselelo okukhokha. Isinyathelo sokuqala basithathile basebeza futhi kwesesithathu. Kodwa uthi uPaul ukuthi kusukela ngo2013 ukuza manje kulesikhathi esikuwo 2024 bekulokhu kubonakala ukuthi kukhona ukuxhunywa okungemthetho okwenzekayo kuleli bhilidi kodwa bekulokhu kuza ngezikhawu ezithile intermittent. So kodwa manje bakuphaulile lokho okubenzeke ukuthi basithatha lezi zinyathelo azishilo zombili manje oku level 1 kanye no level 3.
Thank you, Mr. Koza. Ms. Kosana, I'd like to sketch for you some evidence that has been tendered to the chairperson, and I would like to have your reaction. It's in the context of you as Joburg Water having attended to the disconnection of water supply in respect of the building. Evidence has been laid before the commission that the residents of the building were able to access water through the hose pipe mains, which are for fire extinguishing purposes. How would that be possible?
The water mains that supplies water for domestic usage are different to those that are used for fire extinguishing hosepipe mains. And therefore, by law, we are not permitted as Joburg Water to disconnect or restrict supply of water from the hosepipe mains. And so we do not disconnect water from the hosepipe mains.
Meli uyaveza futhi ukuthi leli komishane litsheliwe ukuthi abantu ababehlala kuleli bhilidi losindiso bebewathola amanzi. Akusho ukuthi bebengawathola amanzi bebewathola, kodwa bebewathola besebenzisa amanzi abawathola emapayipini athwala amanzi okucisha umlilo. Manje uyabuza uMeli ukuthi bekwenzeka kanjani ke lokho. Uma iphendula ufakazi uthi amanzi asetshenziswa axhonyelwa abantu ukuze bawasebenzise ekhaya endlini awafani namanzi afana asetshenziswa uma kucishwa umlilo. Ngakho bona ngokwegunya nomthetho abanikezwe wona abakwazi ukuhamba bayovala amanzi okucisha umlilo. Kunalokho bangakwazi ukuvala amanzi asekhaya. Ngakho lapha yikho into abebengayenza. Uma labantu besebenzisa amanzi epayipi lokucisha umlilo bebengenalo igunya lokuhamba bayovala lawo manzi.
Thank you, Mr. Khoza. Ms. Kosana, with reference to paragraph 23 of your statement, I request that you please turn to annexure SS4. Chair, it is to be found at page 226. And then shortly after that also consider SS5, which is at page 227. Kindly explain to the chairperson what these documents reflect and what detail we are to observe on them.
This is a copy of a job card that is from the internal system that is used within Joburg Water to manage the credit control process. And so this job card, it reflects the disconnection that was done on the Usindiso building. If you look at, there is an account number that is reflected there, the date that the job card that was issued on the system that we are using, which was issued on the 25th of April 2023, and the date which the technician who was sent to do a disconnection when they completed this job, which was on the 3rd of May 2023, and the status indicating complete. If you go further down, it has what instruction that was given, which was a disconnection, and the comments then that have been made by the technician who went out to do the disconnection, indicating that meter was covered by rubbish.
Ubeke esemcela uMeli umnumzana uMnyandu ukuthi akaye ekhasini 23 lapha kuno annexure SS4 kanye ne SS5 ekhasini 226 njoba sibonile umbuzile ke ukuthi yini leya elapha ya akasichazele ufakazi unkosazana Sikhosana uyachaza ukuthi leli ikhadi lomsebenzi ngakho uma umuntu enze umsebenzi kufanele agcwalise lokho kubizwa ngokuthi i-job card. Kuleli khadi lomsebenzi uyachaza ukuthi usuke enzeni umuntu. Leli khadi lomsebenzi likhishwa i-system esetshenziswa i-Johannesburg Water uma umuntu ethunyiwe. Ngakho kuye kuthunywe umuntu owuchwepheshe wokusebenza ngamanzi ukuthi akaye esakhiweni esithile ayokwenza. Ngakho wathunywa ke njoba sibonile kule job card ngomhla ka25 April 2023 yathunywa i-technician umuntu osebenza ngakho waya wachaza wafike wanqamula ukuxhunywa kwamanzi njengoba ethunyiwe futhi wachaza nokuthi le job card yaqedwa nini lo umsebenzi wonke wawuqeda ngomhla ka30 May 2023. Ube sezansi lo muntu othunyiwe ube sethola nethuba lokuphawula uvo lwakhe alibeke ngakho walibeka uvo lwakhe owayethunyiwe lapho ukuthi ayonqamula ukufaka kwamanzi wafike washo wathi ufike wanqamula ngenxa yokuthi uthole ukuthi imitha yamanzi ifiki inqanyuliwe ayisasebenzi kunalokho kwase kuba nenqwaba kaDoti eyayimboze ngaphezulu.
Thank you, Mr. Koza. Ms. Kosana, kindly then take the chairperson through Annexure SS5 on page 227, as you have done with the previous one.
This annexure is also another job card, which was given for another disconnection on the 14th of August 2023, which was completed on the 28th of September 2023 for the Usindiso Ministries account, which also the technician indicated that they could not locate the meter because it is suspected to have been removed. So this is one of the challenges that we face, that we would find that some customers have water, but there is no meter on the ground because we would have previously removed the infrastructure, but the customers find a way to illegally connect by bypassing the meters, creating straight-through connections so that the water flows into their properties.
Umcelile futhi ummeli ukuthi akaye manje ku SS5 achaze ukuthi yini le eku SS5. Lokho ku SS5 kuyafana nje nokube ku SS4 ngoba nakho yikhadi lomsebenzi, i-job card. Yona ke isichaza esinye isigameko futhi sesibili. Lesi ke sinezinsuku ezingafani ngoba lesi esangomhla ka 14 August 2023 lapho u-technician noma uchwepheshe osebenza ngezamanzi athunyelwa khona futhi Usindiso ukuthi ayonqamula ukusetshenziswa kwamanzi. Ibhalile ukuthi waqala umsebenzi ngomhla ka 14 August waze uma seligoqa konke sekuphelile kwakungomhla ka 28 September 2023. Uyasho ukuthi uma befika bezofuna amamitha amanzi abazange bawathole ukuthi aphi amamitha amanzi. Ufakazi uyachaza ukuthi kujwayelekile ke ngamanye amakhasimende ukuba kwenze lokho kutholakala ukuthi bafikile ekuqaleni bawanqamula amanzi ukuthi umuntu angawatholi. Kodwa ngazizathu simbe amakhasimende ayakwazi ukwenza ubugebengu awaxhume amanzi akwazi ukweqa uhlelo lwabo lokubala amanzi. Uthola ukuthi ikhasimende linawo amanzi ngaphakathi kodwa isystem okufanele ngabe yawabala ngobugebengu bakwazile ukuyeqa baqhubeke bethola amanzi ngokungemthetho.
Thank you, Mr. Koza. Ms. Kosana, is there anything else you'd like to advise the Commission in respect of your testimony?
From Joburg Water side, we on our side followed the credit control policy, and as we are required by law to do that, and so it was important that we continue or we carry this mandate as it is required, because it is important that every customer that we have in our system pays for the water services, and it is required according to the Municipal Systems Act as well as MFMA that we have a responsibility to take corrective action if the customers are not paying for the water. Thanks.
Ubese cela ufakazi ukuthi asho ukuthi kukhona inokunye athanda ukwendlalela ezithebeni zelenkaza lekhomishani. Cha, ubese kuphendula ufakazi ukuthi yebo. Okugcina nje akubekayo ukuthi bona njengeJohannesburg Water balandela izinqubo ezibekiwe ze-credit control noma ukulawulwa kwezikweletu bazilandela eduze zinjengoba zinjalo. Okusho ukuthi kufanele banamathele ekutheni amanzi umuntu uma ewasebenzisa uyawakhokhela. Futhi lokho kuvumelana nezinqubomgomo ezibekwe umasipala kanye ne-MMFA nayo ethi kufanele kube njalo. Ngakho bakholelwa ukuthi bona bakwenzile obokufanele bakwenze ukuqiniseka ukuthi uma umuntu engathobeli umthetho obekiwe kamasipala lo umuntu kufanele anqanyulelwe amanzi.
Thank you, Mr. Koza. Thank you, Ms. Kosana. Chair, that concludes this witness's testimony.
Thank you. Advocate Minya.
We have no questions to the witness, Chair.
Mr. Mkomezulu.
Yes, Chairperson. Thank you. 2 or 3 questions again. Good day, ma'am.
Good day, sir.
You've outlined the duties, statutory duties of City Power to do credit control. Sorry, Joburg Water. Thank you, Mr. Mnyanda. Is that so?
Yes, that's
Yes.
correct.
The Constitutional Court, in one of the judgments, Mkondwana, the attorneys would be aware of it. I don't expect you to know the judgments. Just explaining to you that it says municipalities are obliged to provide water and electricity to residents in their area as a matter of public duty. Meaning, it's not just a matter of credit control, but it's also a matter of public duty, the delivery of water services. Excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Mngumzulu. Chairperson, would like to approach you. We're going to request that you kindly not permit that line of questioning.
Yes,
In the first instance, the witness is not legally qualified.
yes,
Being referred to legal argument that arises
Yes.
from judgment, we're going to request that that not be allowed.
yes. Mr. Mkomezulu, what is your point? I mean, you've already indicated that the witness is not familiar with that case. And where is this in relation to the question of clarification to the evidence that she has tendered before me? How is that relevant to the evidence that she has tendered before me? Because you are supposed to put questions of clarification to the evidence that she has tendered.
Chairperson, I will provide the explanation to the chairperson just for the sake of completeness, but will also withdraw if the chairperson
Yes, you may withdraw the
determines-
question.
Yes. There'll be no need
There
for
is
the
no need for an
for the
explication.
explanation. Since the chairperson has said has made that determination, there will be no questions. Should there be questions, chairperson, they will be raised through the other processes that are provided for in this commission.
Well, you may only cross-examine this witness if you apply for cross-examination,
That's
which you know is not a right which is given to you. You've got to apply for it.
That's the careful way of saying following the other processes
Okay.
provided for in this commission,
fine.
Chairperson. Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks,
thank you.
Chairperson. But Chairperson, may I say that this is not a definitive we will be applying for cross-examination. I'm saying it's a matter that can be taken. Should a need arise, then we will make use of the instruments that are available.
I quite comprehend your situation.
Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Khona ke ummeli umnumzana uMngomezulu uphakamile weza waqale wethula ukuthi ufakazi uNkosazana Sikhosana ukwenze konke akufanele bakwenze okuyimthwalo yabo okufanele bayenze abanikezwe yona uvumile ufakazi ukuthi ngempela thina sikwenze konke okufanele sikwenze ubeke esefuna ukucaphuna kancane isinye isinqumo esaphuma enkantolo yomthetho sisekelo athi kungenzeka ufakazi akasazi leso sinqumo kodwa leso sinqumo uma esicaphuna sasikhuluma ngokuthi umasipala kusemahlombe akhe ukuthi ahlinzeke umphakathi ngamanzi nogesi ngakho uthi akuyona indaba nje yokuthi ukulawulwa ukukhokhwa kwezikweletu kodwa umthwalo semahlombe womasipala ukwenza kanjalo ubese ngenela ummeli umnumzana uMnyanda ukuthi cha uyacela kusihlalo ukuthi lolu hlobo loengxoxo lungabe lungavunyelwa liqhubeke luye phambili ngesizathu sokuthi ufakazi akalazi nalolo daba futhi akasona isazi sezomthetho ngakho kuzoba nzima ukuthi aphawule ngezinto ezithinta umthetho ngoba leso isinqumo esaphuma kumthetho sisekelo nangempela usihlalo naye wenezelile ukuthi uyavumelana nalokho ukuthi akakwazi ukumvumela ukuthi aqhubeke nalolo hlobo lombuzo ikakhulukazi ngenxa ukuthi okwamanje bekungakabi ithuba lalokho leli bekuyithuba lokumane acele ukuthi akacacise lapho kungazange kucace khona bekungelona ithuba lokuhloma imibuzo ngokuqondile kodwa elokucacisa nje ngakho uma edinga lelo thuba ngafuneka aphinde alifakele isicelo ngoba ukwazi ukuvele uzitholele lona nangempela umeli umnumzana uMngomezulu ubese hoxa wavuma ukuthi cha uyahoxisa futhi ukhoxisa kwakhe kumenza ukuthi angabe saba ke neminye imibuzo eyengeziwe kodwa yize kunjalo uma kuukuthi uyadinga ngempela ukuthatha lolo hlobo lolo ndlela yokufaka isicelo angaphinda ayithathe kodwa kwamanje uyavuma uyahoxisa ngeke asaqhubeka nalokho abeza nakho.
Mr.
Thank you, Mr.
Nyandu.
Koza. Thank you, Chair. Chair, with your leave, we request that this witness's statement be admitted into the evidence bundle as COJ 7.
Yes.
There are then 5 annexures to it, and we will
Yes.
name them. We kindly request that the SDA, Annexure SS1, be 7.1, COJ 7.1. The first of 2 screenshots from the SEP system be admitted as COJ 7.2. The second screenshot from the SEP system be 7.3. The first of the 2 job cards from Joburg Water being SS4 and SS5 be 7.4, COJ 7.4 and COJ 7.5 respectively.
They are so admitted.
We thank you, Chairperson.
Ms. Kosana, thank you very much for having come to give evidence before this commission.
Thank you.
You may step down as a witness, ma'am.
Good day again, Chair, and Madam Mabena. Chair, with your leave, would like to call Mr. Broderick Chilwani, who is employed as a building control officer by the City of Johannesburg. And his statement appears on page 263 of the bundle, Chair.
263.
263, Chair.
Advocate Siminya.
Dr. Chilwani, your full names?
My full names are Maropin Broderick Chilwani.
You have no objection in taking the oath, do you?
No, I don't have any objection, sir.
Do you the evidence you're about to give us, you swear will be the truth, nothing else but the truth, and if you do, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
The witness is on it.
Thank you, Mr. Sidimedi.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, if you can just raise your voice a little bit. I miss a baritone voice, but it's a bit soft. Can you just confirm where are you employed currently?
I am currently employed by the City of Johannesburg as a building control officer.
And what is a building control officer? What informs a position of a building control officer?
A building control officer is a statutory appointment in terms of the National Building Regulation and Building Standard Act, amongst others, to perform the functions of recommending building applications that are forwarded to the city.
Okay, we'll come to that part
Okay.
of the duties. I just wanted to get the issue of the statutory appointment out of the way. And for how long have you been appointed by the city?
I've been in the employment of the city since 2020.
Before 2020, you gave any functions pertaining to this type of work?
Yes, I was employed by the city of Ekurhuleni, yeah, in the same space, and city of Mangaung.
So this is a function. My apologies, Chair. Mr. Koza.
Ake ufakazi olandelayo usanda kuhlala esihlalweni sikafakazi umnumzane uChilwani uqale ngokuthi naye enze izifungo zokuthi uzokhuluma iqiniso ngokuthi aphakamise isandla sakhe sangakwesokudla bese ethi inkosi ingisize. Ngakho ke ummeli umnumzane uSidumeli uqala ngokuthi amcele ukuthi azethule ngokuthi asho ukuthi wenza luphi uhlobo lomsebenzi. Ufakazi uyasho ukuthi umsebenzi awenza isikhundla kusona kusibizwa ngokuthi i-building control officer. Ucelile ukuthi akathi ukuchaza kancane ukuthi kusho ukuthini khona lokho. Ube eseqala echaza umnumzane ufakazi uChilwani ukuthi umsebenzi wabo ngokuyinhloko ukubheka izicelo ezisuke zikhona uma kukhona izincomo kufanele bazenze. Obeke esemngena emlonyeni lapho ummeli ukuthi cha asikafiki lapho ngempela endabeni yokuthi nenza umsebenzi muni bengifisa nje ungichazele ngomsebenzi ngokwawo nokuthi uqale nini ukusebenza kuwona. Ngakho uthi uqale ukusebenza ngonyaka ka2020 kulesi sikhundla ngaphambi kokuba asebenze aqashwe umkhandlu waseGoli uke wasebenza emkhandlwini wasekurhuleni ngawo futhi umsebenzi ofanayo kanti uke wasebenza nase Mangaung.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chilwani, I will be taking you through the statement that you've made to the Commission. The file in front of you on page 263. Are you there?
Yes.
Right. Before I interjected you, you explaining to the chair what the duties of a building control officer entail. Just take us through the duties contained in paragraph 1.3 of your statement.
The duties of a building control officer, amongst others, includes advising and recommending to the municipality on approval or rejections of building plans submitted by the owners for the erection of new buildings or alterations of existing buildings.
Okay. And then, and the second one, they speak of conducting inspections on new buildings that are erected or additions or alterations to existing buildings. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you report to the municipality on the non-compliance with the existing and approved building plans.
Correct.
And am I correct in saying, amongst other, these duties are found in Section 6 of the National Building Regulations and Building Standards Act?
Correct.
Correct. Now you indicate in paragraph 1.4 that you report to the Department of Development Planning. Administrative. Can you just explain to the chair what does that mean?
In terms of the statutory appointment in Section 5, administratively, I report to the Department of Development Planning, but in terms of the function, in terms of the Act, I report to Council.
Ayike ube sekudlulela ke manje ekhasini 263 lapho chaza khona manje ukuthi akachazeke ukuthi yini imisebenzi yesikhundla kusona sokuba i-building controller officer usuke wenzani uma wenza lo msebenzi. Ngakho ngokwalokho kubhaliwe kwistatimende sakhe umnumzana uChilwani njengofakazi kuyachaza ukuthi eminye yemisebenzi yakhe ukweluleka kanye nokuthumela izincomo kumasipala kuma mhlawumbe kukhona umuntu ofake isicelo ngesakhiwo esithile ukulungiswa kwaso ngakho yena ufaka izincomo ukuthi yini okufanele yenziwe. Aphinde futhi ku 1.32 kube yibo abahamba bayohlola izakhiwo ezintsha ukuthi sikhona yini isakhiwo esisha esifune sakhiwe noma senezelwe noma sishintshwe kulolu hlobo okuyilona. Bese bayahamba bayotshela umasipala ukuthi kunesakhiwo esingenzi ngokuvumelana nomthetho uma sikhona, bese befaka isicelo sokuthi leso sakhiwo akuthathwe isinyathelo ngaso. Ngakho lena imisebenzi anikezwe yona njengakulesikhundla sakhe sokuba i-building controller officer. Ubese ecela kodwa manje ukuthi akathi ukuchaza kancane ngoba ngokomthetho ku section 5 abakuyona bangaphansi kwenqubomgomo yokwakhiwa kwezindlu likazwelonke ukuthi kusho ukuthini. Ingabe ubika kuyona yini? Uthi yebo, ngokomsebenzi abawenzayo kufanele babike kuwo lomnyango wezokuthuthukiswa nokuhlelwa, kodwa uyacacisa ukuthi ngokwe section 5 kufanele umuntu abika kuyena kufanele kube umkhandlu noma ikhansela.
Okay, thanks. Now, I want us to focus on of the many functions that you undertake. I want us to focus on the inspectorate functions that your office is required to undertake. How do you mentioned in 2.1 that you rely on a Department of Development Planning for that function. What do you mean by that?
Chair, I mean that the city appointed building inspectors in various regions whom I delegate the functions to conduct the inspections. So there are assistant directors, chief building inspectors, and building inspectors on the ground that assist in terms of conducting those inspections in the 7 regions of the city.
Okay. Now let's zoom in you mean reference to the 7 regions of the municipality. I want us to zoom in on region F, right, where Usindiso building is located. You have made remarks there in paragraph 2.3 on how these inspectors that you speak about, what have they advised you in terms of the functions that they perform in region F? Let's start with paragraph 2.31. Can you just unpack 2.3.1 for us?
Okay, the building inspectors do conduct routine inspections in the regions within the jurisdiction of region F.
Yes.
Yes.
And how is such function or inspections conducted?
The routine inspections are inspections that are conducted whilst the inspectors are driving around and they find buildings that have been constructed and they check if there are any approvals or there are not, and then they go back to the offices and do a desktop investigation to check, and if there is no compliance or there are no building plans approved, then they go and issue contravention notices to those.
Okay, if you go to page 268, you made reference to inspectors issuing contravention notices. What is the document that appears on page 268?
Chairperson, the document that is on page 268 is an example of a contravention notice that has been issued by the building inspectors at the region F.
Okay. Then in particular, I mean, obviously, yes, that is, you said this is an example.
Yes.
It indicates the owner of the building.
Correct.
In this instance, the example is Marialdo, right? And then what I'm interested in is the inscriptions that appear thereafter. And you are hereby notified that you have contravened the following. Can you see that?
Yes.
Mr. Koza?
Ake ube esemcela ukuthi ake bathi kuyogxila kancane lapha ya kulezi zokuhlola abahloli or ama-inspectors ukuthi basuke benze njani uma benza umsebenzi wabo wokuhlola. Ufakazi uyachaza ukuthi bona baye idolobha umkhandlu edolobha uye uqoke abantu abazoba abantu abangabahloli ama-inspectors. So ngakho laba bantu bazohamba bayosihlola isakhiwo ikakhulukazi njengoba manje kukhulunywa ngama-regions awu-7 noma u-region F okuyiwona agxilwe kuwona kakhulu. Ngakho umhloli wezakhiwo uzohamba afika sihlole isakhiwo ukuthi sinjani bese ebhala ukuphawula kwakhe ukuthi nakho engikutholile esakhiweni. Ubuzile ukuthi ukwenza kanjani lokho. Uzofika esakhiweni u-inspector azungeze asibone isakhiwo uma ebona ukuthi kukhona isakhiwo esakhiwe lapha ube sebuyela emuva ehhovisi bayobheka ukuthi zikhona yini izincwadi ezivuma noma ezifakazela ukuthi lesi sakhiwo sisemthethweni ukuthi sakhiwe. Uma kungekho kubhaliwe okusho njalo ngakho sebebuyela ke manje basho ukuthi nakho asitholanga lento lesakhiwo asikho ezincwadini ngamanye amazwi asikho emthethweni. Ama-inspector umsebenzi wawo yilokho. Khona ke lapha ku 268 amusa khona manje usesibonisa isibonelo. Usho njalo uthi lena i-example nje yesaziso somuntu osuke ephule umthetho kwezokwakha. Sibizwa ukuthi i-contravening notice esiku-region F naso. So siyaveza ke ukuthi ngokwesibonelo njengoba benzi becaphunile isibonelo saso ukuthi wena uphule umthetho lapha ngalokhu endabeni ethinta isakhiwo.
So in that notice, it will basically outline the types of offenses or the contraventions, my apologies, that the owner would have contravened. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Chair, sorry.
Now, moving away, now what happens after? Once a contravention notice has been issued, what follows thereafter?
And if a contravention is issued, Chair, and the contravention is not heeded or corrected, you are given a number of days to correct. And if you don't comply with that contravention notice, and the time expires or the date expires upon which that notice was issued, the period, the contravention notice gets referred to our legal department for prosecution.
Okay. All right. Now, we move away from the contraventions. We'll come back to that later on. In paragraph 3, the Commission had requested the city to provide the building plans for Usindiso building. Right? Now, can you just explain to the chair what is your role as a PCO in relation to building plans?
Okay, my role is the custodian of building plan records of the city. And in this regard, we did check our records in terms of the availability of the Usindiso building plans. We could not find any.
What could be the reason that you could not find the Usindiso building plans?
I think, Chair, it could be two possibilities. It is either the building plans are not there, and in my experience previously, with regards to state-owned buildings, in mostly where the record was not found, mostly when you inquire, they would have relied, I'm saying mostly, not all, would have relied on Section 2 of the Act, which indicates that the Act does not bind the state in terms of submission of building plans. So in most cases,
That's what I found to be the reason being given on state-owned properties in the main.
Okay. And then you said to the chair there are possibly two main reasons. What is the second one?
The first one is, I said two I've mentioned. The first one is that we might not have the record. The reason we might not have the record, the reason being that we don't have the plans, were never submitted.
All right.
Yes. And then the other one is that most of the state departments in the main relied on section 2 of the Act. And maybe just to elaborate on that as well, is that previously, because this building I think was built earlier, 1950s, 60s or thereabout, I'm not exactly sure. Public institution department used to have their own departments dealing with such. They will have architectural department with engineers, surveyors, and all of you, which of late necessarily the case. I was just highlighting on that, Chairperson.
Okay. Thank you.
Uqhubekile ke ummeli buza ukuthi konje lesiyasaziso esikhulume ngaso umuntu uma esithola sisuke sisho ukuthini. Lesasaziso sisuke sibhale amacala umuntu asuke wenzile uma kuziwa endabeni yesakhiwo. Sisho ukuthi nanti icala lenzile bese ke uyachaza ufakazi ukuthi kuleso saziso enye yezinto ezifakwa kuso ubhalwa usuku ukuthi unikezwa izinsuku ezingaka zokuthi ulungise leli cala elibhalwe kulesi saziso. Uma kuukuthi leso sikhathi siyadlula awulungisi lelo cala ubese uthathwa ke babe sebekuthatha ke bona bakudlulisele udaba lwakho kumnyango wabo wezomthetho. Umnyango wezomthetho ke uyobusuqala inqubo yokuthi ukushushise ngalelo cala osuke ulenzile. Manje ke ube sedlula ke manje ummeli weza kule ndaba yasosindiso. Uthi ikhomishani icelile ukuthi icela idolobha linikeze lokho okubizwa ngokuthi building plan yalesi sakhiwo sasosindiso. Manje ucela ukwazi ukuthi bona ufakazi umnumzana uChilwane ikuphi yabo indima lapho ingenaphi uma kuziwa endabeni yamaplani ezakhiwo. Uyachaza ufakazi ukuthi yebo bona owabo umsebenzi uyabathinta ngoba bayazigcina lezi zinto bayibona abazigcinayo. Kodwa kuthe uma behamba beyofuna kumafayela abo beyofuna ukuthi iphi iplani yesakhiwo saseusindiso abazange basithole. Ubuzile umfameli ukuthi kungani ningasitholi. Ubale izizathu ezimbili ke ukuthi izona ezingabangela ukuthi bangasitholi. Sokuqala izizathu ukuthi asikho vele. Ngisho bangasifuna abasitholi. Kodwa esesibili uthi izikhathi eziningi uthi hayi ukuthi kunjalo kodwa izikhathi eziningi uma kuziwa ezakhiweni ezingaphansi kahulumeni kuvamile ukuthi abasebenza kuzona bacaphuna umthetho wokuthi vele asibophekile thina ngezakhiwo zikahulumeni ukuthi sidalule noma sinikeze amaplani ezakhiwo. Ngakho iyona ndlela baye baphume ngayo abanye uma kuthiwa kufuneka lokho. Ngakho ilona zizathu ezimbili azishoyo. Esokuqala ukuthi asikho, esesibili ngaba ukusebenzisa leyo mthetho wokuthi cha bona njengohulumeni abaphoqeleki ukuthi bakhiphe amaplani ezakhiwo. Ubesenezela nje uma esezophetha ukuthi futhi kakhulukazi uma ecabanga lesakhiwo saseusindiso sakhiwa cishe ngeminyaka yo-1956. Ngaleso sikhathi ke amaplani ezakhiwo ngaleso sikhathi kakhulukazi ezikhungo zikahulumeni ayegcinwa abantu abathile abangonjiniyela ababenikezwa lawo maplani. So kungenzeka esinye isizathu esenza ukuthi bona ezandleni zabo bangabi naso ukuthi bakwazi ukuletha lapha leli plan lezakhiwo lesakhiwo saso usindiso.
Now, earlier on, you testified about the inspection functions that you conduct or that your office through the inspectors conduct. Now, with specific reference to Usindiso building. In paragraph 3.4 of your statement, you shed some light on the inspections that your office was required to conduct. Can you just explain to the chair any inspecting duty that were conducted at Usindiso?
The inspectorate went to the building, the Usindiso building, but could not gain access to the building.
Okay.
And that's what derailed the detailed inspections for the conduct of the inspections on that property.
Ubeke semcela ukuthi aye lapha ya ku 3.4 ikakhulukazi kule ndaba yokuhlola inspection ukuthi umbuzo ukuthi ingabe abahloli babo baya yini kulesakhiwo sasosindiso bayokwenza lokho vele okufanele bakwenza ukuthi bayosihlola lesakhiwo. Ufakazi uyaphendula umnumzana uChilwane ukuthi baya kodwa bakwazanga ukungena.
You indicate there in paragraph 3.5.1 that on your records, you could not find any contravention notices for this that was served on this building. Am I correct?
Correct.
But you then indicate in paragraph 3.5.3 that generally, honestly, with regard to Usindiso, you explain to the chair that in other cases that are like Usindiso, how would you conduct inspections?
Chair, it's difficult to conduct inspections in buildings similar to Usindiso, as buildings of that nature are in most cases under the phenomenon of hijacked building where GFIS is involved and conducted raids, and the matter has been elevated to that level.
Mr. Khoza?
Ubese mcela ukuthi aye ku 3.51 lapha ya embonisa ukuthi ngokwestatement sakhe ufakazi asishilo uthe asikho isaziso abake basikhipha abasitholile ngokwama record abo abake basithatha basisa osakhiweni sasosindiso sokuthi niphula umthetho. Asikho leso saziso esinjalo. Manje ubuzile ummeli ukuthi kanti nenze njani ngempela uma kunezakhiwo ezifana nosindiso nikwenze kanjani lokho okufanele nikwenze. Ufakazi uyaphendula ukuthi kunzima kakhulu kakhulukazi uma isakhiwo sithathwe ngodli kunzima ukuthi benze lokho okufanele ngabe bayakwenza ukufana nokuthumela izaziso zokuphula komthetho noma ngisho ukuhamba bayosihlola ngokuqondile.
You made reference to blitz conducted by GFIS, or I'm not sure whether you use the word blitz or raid. And in paragraph 3.6, evidence has been laid before the commission that at some point in 2019, GFIS and other law enforcement agencies conducted a raid in quotes at Usindiso. Was your office part of that operation?
No, my office was not part of that operation. And maybe I need to highlight that conducting inspections on buildings that are hijacked under that phenomenon poses a very serious risk, as some of our officials have been rounded up immediately they want to enter the buildings with armed people. So it is not easy to conduct, and the risk that the inspectors are faced with. But in those instances where GFIS conducts raids, on this specific one, building control was not part of it. Because sometimes the the raids are conducted at night, and with GFIS and other law enforcement agencies, it's South African Police, the customs, and other stakeholders in that aspect. Thank you, Chair.
Ubeke manje esemusa kwistatimende esibhaliwe sikhuluma ngeGFIS ukuthi iGFIS yake yahamba yathatha yaphuma yayongena kuleli ability lapho iyokwenza khona ukuphequlula ngaphakathi ebilidini. Manje umbuzo ukuthi ingabe bona njengabaqondisi bezakhiwo babe ingxenye yini yalolo kwalelo thimba elalingenile ebilidini liyophequlula? Impendulo kafakazi ingucha. Babe ngeyona ingxenye yalo. Futhi uyasichaza isizathu salo ukuthi kuyingozi kubeka ukuphila engozini ukuya emabhilidini afana namabhilidi athathwe ngodli. Imvamisa uma enziwa okunye kwawo lokho kuphequlula kusuke kwenzeke ebusuku. Inhlaka ezithile zikahulumeni njengamaphoyisa abazongena nokuphuma kwempahla ezweni baye bangene ebusuku. Ngakho bona njengoba bebhekelela nje ukwakheka nokuhlolwa kwezakhiwo abayona ingxenye babe ngeyona ingxenye yalokho okwenziwa ngesikhathi kungena kuyopheqululwa kuleli bhilidi.
Right. Now, you testified that Usindiso, you could not conduct inspections due to the safety concerns that you have just raised, and the fact that where there's an assistance of law enforcement agencies, that happens after hours or in the evenings, as you said. But now, in terms of other buildings that are owned by the city, do you ever serve notices on buildings that are owned by the city and are in contravention with the law? Does it ever happen?
Yes, on other buildings that are owned by the city, that we are able to gain access and fully inspect and assess, we do issue notices, and those notices are issued to the JPC, being the custodian of the City of Johannesburg property.
Okay. Can you just go to page 271? No, my apologies. No, not 271. Chair, the reason the numbering is a bit awkward because I only realized now that the BC2, which was supposed to be on file, was actually not on the file, but I've asked my colleague to hand it over to Evelyn. I'm not sure whether it found its way through the check, but I must admit that only happened now in the last 15 minutes, so it's no fault of the evidences, but that rests solely on me. Do you have a document that's entitled BC2 there? A document marked BC2 there. Can you just explain to the Commission what that document is?
Chair, this is a contravention notice that was issued to the City of Johannesburg. As alluded to earlier on, that we do issue contravention notices to city-owned properties, and we issue to JPC, being the custodian of city properties. This is a notice that was issued on the 19th of January, the owner being the City of Johannesburg Metropolitan Municipality, and then the recipient thereof will be the CEO, and the property description as in RF 4956, Johannesburg, 52 Edith Cavell Street, and it is in Ward 67.
All right. Now, earlier on, and obviously that notice will indicate the types of contraventions that your office is complaining about. Now, you testified earlier on that Normally, you issue these notices and you give the owner or the occupant a time period to comply with whatever complaints that you have in the notice. Now, in the case of City of Johannesburg, like that, we are using that as an example. What happens with such notices?
Chair, in this instance, we are calling on for them to comply. Technically, it's an instruction for them to comply in terms of what we have just detailed, specifically what they have contravened. We give them, like any other person, to that contravene or property owner that contravene, to comply with that legislation. In this case, if they don't comply, but like I've just said, we do engage our legal department, wherein processes needs to be taken forward in terms of litigation. Okay. So, in this case, that is the process that we undertake, because our processes, we try to be as fair as possible and as unbiased as possible. And I think that is where the legal department will take it from there in terms of prosecution or engagements that ensued thereafter.
Okay. But would you be part of those engagements?
Not necessarily, because sometimes it will depend on the severity of the building in terms of your structural safety and soundness, which the city sometimes, for an example, if the building is not redeemable or salvageable, they would have that land release, enroll it into a land release program wherein they will apply for demolition or sell the building or make it available for the private sector to develop whatever that is necessary to make sure that the building, the unsafe building is not there, and to enhance and build a new building for whatever purpose that is necessary to the city.
Mmeli ke uqhubekile nokwenezela kulokhu abekuthula ufakazi ukuthi into eyenza bangakwazi ukungena kwamanye amabhilidi njengebhilidi laso Usindiso ukuthi ukuphepha kubasebenzi babo kungaba sengozini, kanti nokuthi futhi amaphoyisa uma enza lokhu gasela afike ezophequlula ngezinye izikhathi akwenza ebusuku. Manje ubesebuza ummeli ukuthi kodwa ke ngaphandle koSindiso eGoli kunamabhilidi amaningi, kwakuyenzeka yini kodwa kube khona amabhilidi aphethwe uhulumeni abakwaziyo ukuyowathumela lesesaziso sokuphulwa komthetho ukuthi ibhilidi liphula umthetho ngezizathu ezithile nalezi. Impendulo kafakazi umnumzana uChilwane uthe yebo kuyenzeka namabhilidi kahulumeni bawanikeze lezaziso zokuphulwa komthetho. Bese emva kwalokho ke njengoba sazi ukuthi amabhilidi amaningi angaphansi kweJPC, leso saziso basithatha basithumele kuyidolobha ngokuqondile, baphinde bathumele nohlaka olusebenzela idolobha okuyiJPC. Babeke sebeya kulamakhasi abake baxoxa ngawo ummeli echaza ukuthi izinombolo zinenkinga ndawana thile, kodwa bayesekwazi ukumhlinzeka ngalo leli phepha noma idocument edingekayo ngokufanayo nosihlalo bakwazi ukuwathola ngaphambili no commissioner okungu BC2. Lapha kule uBC2 isibonelo futhi esisibonile lapho bakwenza lokho akushoyo umnumzana uChilwane, kwakuyibhilidi elingaphansi elisegameni le dolobha laseGoli, City of Johannesburg, abalithumela ngomhla ka-19 January bathumela isaziso ukuthi ibhilidi elisekunombolo 52 ku Ward 6 liphula umthetho ngenxa yalezi zathu nalezi base belithumela kulo idolobha ukuthi leli yabhilidi liphule umthetho ngalokhu. Ubuzile ke ummeli ukuthi njengoba nithe nina uma kuwabantu nibanika nesikhathi ukuthi kufanele phela ulungise ngaphansi kwesikhathi esingaka, niyakwenza yini uma kuyibhilidi likamasipala uthe yebo siyakwenza benza ngendlela benza ngayo nje kunoma ubani ophula umthetho naye bamnikeza isikhathi esifanayo ukuthi nasi isikhathi lungisa uma ungalungisi babe sebekuthatha uma engaphenduli kulokho kufanele akwenze idolobha laseGoli bese bethatha udaba balise kumnyango wezomthetho wabo okumnyango wezomthetho ke ozobusingatha lolu daba ukuqhubekela phambili kodwa into ayishoyo ukuthi lelo bhilidi uma liphula umthetho kufanele kwenziwe okuthile kulona ukuthi liyadayiswa noma lithengiselwa inkampani ezizimele balithathe balilungise noma liyabhidlizwa lisuke ngokuphelele ngakho benza kodwa zonke izindlela abangazenza ukuthi lelo bhilidi eliphula umthetho ngokuma sebexoxa kufanele kube khona isinyathelo esithathwayo ngalo ukuze lilungiswe.
Thank you, sir. Now, in the last paragraph of your statement, you mentioned that after the tragedy at Usindiso, you issued or you prepared a temporary condemnation report. Can you just explain to the chair and the commission what that is? And that appears on page 270 of your statement.
Chairperson, after the tragedy of the Usindiso building, I prepared a temporary condemnation notice that was issued to the accounting officer, being the city manager, on the Usindiso building after the fire incident, which had some casualties, where I requested that the building be temporarily condemned for the purposes of the structural engineer assessment, for them to conduct the assessment, and for the fire safety or fire department, emergency service fire department, to conduct their investigation, albeit under very serious caution, and for forensic investigations, and the building will be under the care of, it's a crime scene, it will be under the custodianship at that time of the South African Police Services. So the building will be propped, as I've indicated here, for those experts to provide information in terms of what needs to happen next. And yeah, that is the condemnation report that I wrote to the city manager. And I just said at the end, once the investigations are done, the SAPS will hand over the building back to the city of Johannesburg, who will fully cordon off and guard the building, prop safe or temporarily make the building safe to allow for detailed engineering structural integrity assessment or test, and produce a report on the implementation of thereof, because the temporary one is just for them to do visual assessment, and then when they prop safe the building so that they can access it, if it is safe to do so, they'll do then the detailed report, and then the property will be handed back to the city, which then will guard the building, and then take actions as per the report that would have been prepared by the structural engineers. Thank you,
Mr. Khosa?
Thank you, Chair. Bese cela ummeli ukuthi kuyiwe lapha ekhasini 270 bese ufakaze sichazela ukuthi yini le elapha kuleli khasi u270. Lapha ku270 ufakaze uyasho ukuthi lona isaziso sibizwa ngokuthi i-temporary condemnation notice, okusho ukuthi isaziso sokuthi indawo ikithi ukumiswa okwesikhashana ukusetshenziswa ngaleso sikhathi. Ngakho uchazile ke ukuthi izathu sokuthi abhale lesisaziso sokuthi okwesikhashana indawo ake yithi ukubanjwa ingasetshenziswa ibhekwe njengendawo engafayile isetshenziswe kuso, usibhalile lesisaziso wayesesithumela kwi-accounting officer kanye ne-manager edolobha bazithola, echaza ukuthi kungani ethi ake sithi lesakhiwo sase Usindiso singasetshenziswa. Kungenxa ukuthi kulesakhiwo kwase kufa abantu vele kakade. Kunabantu abafa ngesikhathi kuqubuka umlilo. Ngakho ubefisa ukuthi okwamanje ke sibanjwe kuze kube lapho kufika khona ochwepheshe bezakhiwo bazosihlola ukuthi sisesimweni esihle yini bese bebhala umbiko wabo. Bese kufika abezomlilo nabo bazosihlola ukuthi sikusiphi isimo babhale owabo umbiko. Ngakho ukuze bonke abantu okufanele basihlole bazokwenza lokho kahle. Ngakho embikweni wakho ucelile ukuthi lesakhiwo okwamanje ake sibhekwe njengendawo yesigameko okwenziwe kusicala noma icrime scene. Ngakho ake sithathwe sinikezwe izandla zamaphoyisa ama-SAPS ukuthi kube yiwo asiphethe ngalesi sikhathi. Ngakho phakathi nalesi sikhathi uma kusenziwa ukuhlola ukuthi zinjani kuyothi uma sekuqediwe kuyobe sekubhalwa umbiko wokugcina ngoba lona owakhe uyasho ukuthi it's just a temporary. So kuzobe sekufika umbiko wokugcina oningiliziwe, a detailed report okuzobe seyichaza ke manje seyihlanganisa lokho okutholwe izazi ngesikhathi zihlola bese emva kwalokho isakhiwo ayasithatha amaphoyisa asibuyisela emuva kumnikazi waso wangempela okuyidolobha laseGoli. Khona ke lapho ke sekungathathwa isinqumo sokuthi kwenziwani ngaleli bhilidi kodwa ngemva kokuba sekwenziwe konke lokhu ochwepheshe babhala nembiko yabo bese kuthathwa isinqumo esilandelayo.
Chair, that is all on our side in terms of the evidence of Mr. Chilwani.
Thank you, Mr. Dumedi.
The Chair, may you indulge us just to put some few questions because we won't be sitting beyond this witness, as I understand.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Mr. Chilwani, I'm looking at your contravention notices. And for the examples you give us, we do have a contravention if a building is not conducive for safety and the health of its occupants. Right?
Correct.
And some of the instructions would give is vacate the building immediately. Right? Right?
Correct. Correct, Chair. Sorry, I've got it.
And those type of interventions are pretty familiar with JPC. They know those things are to be corrected if contraventions are found. Am I right?
Correct.
Mnumzane advocate Simenya manje uma esenezela kulokhu uqale wayibeka kuye ufakazi udaba lokuthi uzibonile lezi zaziso zokuphulwa komthetho. Isaziso sokuphulwa komthetho siye sikhishwe ikakhulukazi uma isakhiwo ngokwaso singekho esimweni esikahle sokuhlalisa abantu futhi sibeka ukuphila engozini kwabantu abangaphakathi kwabo. Ngakho umbuzile uma ethi isaziso siye sithi kufanele abantu bakhishwe immediately okusho ukuthi ngaso leso sikhathi ngoba lelo bhilidi alikho esimweni nangempela uyavuma ufakazi ukuthi yebo kunjalo. Kanti okwesibili ne-JPC isuke ikwazi lokhu okusuke kushiwo ilesi saziso sokuphulwa komthetho nalapho futhi ufakazi uyavuma ukuthi yebo kunjalo.
Does it fall within your competence, knowledge, land use rights, zoning rights? Is it within your province of knowledge?
No, Chairperson.
You don't know?
No, Chairperson. It's not in my competency for the zonings.
Those are the questions we have.
Umbuzile ke manje egcineni advocate Simenya ukuthi ingabe ke manje lokhu unalo yini ulwazi uma kuziwa ngalokho kubizwa ngokuthi izoning ilapho kuhlonzwa ukuthi le ndawo isetshenziselwa ini. Uyaphendula ufakazi ukuthi cha hayi uma kuziwa lapho akunalo ulwazi olungako ngeke kuyona uma kuthintwa izinto ezithinta izoning.
Mr. Mkomezulu.
Thank you, Chairperson. One question.
Yes, you may.
Sir, You've stated that your powers are statutory, or they are derived from a statute.
Correct.
So is the work that you do is grounded in the statute or in legislation?
Correct.
And the scope of the work that you do in a building is different to what GFIS would do.
Yeah, it will be different, but to achieve the same goal.
No further questions, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Mgomezulu.
Umnumzana uMgomezulu naye ke uphakamile wanephuzu elilodwa nje kuphela ichaza ukuthi njengoba besebenza bona ngaphansi kwabo nabo bawuhlaka oluqondiswa imithetho nqubo ebekiwe. Manje ubese ebuza ukuthi ngabe imisebenzi yenu eniyenzayo ihlukile yini nalena eyenziwa iGFIS, kodwa uchazile ukuthi yebo ihlukile. Did I get that correct? Oh, thank you.
Mr. Sidumedi.
Chair, no need for re-examination arising out of
Yes.
the questions that have been raised. Not saved. Just want to beg the chair's leave to admit Mr. Chilwane's statement as COJ 8.
Yes.
And then the document that appears on page 268 being an example of a contravention notice, that will be 8.1.
Is that part of his statement?
Correct, Chair. That
There is no need to admit it since it's part of his statement.
Or as annexures. Those are annexures.
Is
Chair.
it an annexure?
Correct, Chair. Hence I was
Yes.
saying 8.1. You
Come
recall,
again, give me the name of the annexure.
It appears on the document as BC1.
BC1.
It appears on page 268 and 269.
Yes, that will be COJ 81.
81, Chair. And this, an example of the notice that was served on Joburg itself, the one that was belatedly put in, that will be 8.2.
BC2.
BC2 will be 8.2.
Yes.
And the last one is the temporary condemnation report, BC3, that will be 8.3.
Yes, these documents are so admitted.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank
Can
you,
I-
Mr. Sidumeti. Mr. Chilwane, we thank you for having come to give evidence before this commission. You may step down as a witness, sir.
Thank you.
Chair, that is the business we have for the day. And may we again record that we will not be sitting on Monday.
Yes. The commission will not be sitting on Monday, the 19th of February, 2024, due to the planned maintenance of this building and due to the request made by Norton Rose attorneys.
Thank you, Chair.
These proceedings are therefore adjourned to Tuesday, the 20th of February, 2024 at 10 o'clock.